Okay. You already posted in the what's it called? Here,
Yeah,
I'll just fucking repost it. Who cares? Who cares?
yeah, he likes to at everyone like multiple times. Excuse me.
Okay, we're
Oh,
live. Does
here we
everything
go. Hold on.
look okay? Does everything sound okay? And Bill Hicks isn't here when Bill Hicks has been just DMing me every day. Are you going to do another PPP? When's the next PPP? And here we are, Bill Hicks, and he's not even in the live chat.
So
Disappointment.
I'm
So what's that?
messaging him.
You're messaging Bill Hicks.
Yeah. So did you prepare enough for the stream, do you think?
Maybe.
Are you prepped? Are you educated enough?
Well, I've been very busy the last few weeks, but I'm going to get back into the groove of streaming.
Very busy.
There's Nicholas Rosa. Looks and sounds good. Wonderful. It was all me and my tinkering with the OBS. So let's get into our first story. Now, Speaker Johnson's warning America
Johnson.
on, yes, he's warning us on all the socialists that are infiltrating and taking over.
Glad Frank Hill is here. Chairman Hill did an extraordinary job in the housing bill. We'll talk about that in a moment. But
Gene Speed. Are y'all used to Gene Speed yet?
Holy shit!
I've been. Is
Only
it what
1.5
is it?
speed.
Shut up, Gene. Let them talk.
1.5 speed's fine. This guy
Yeah.
drag shit on, so yeah.
I've got to address a very sobering reality that's facing the country this morning. I did it with the House Republicans, and I was pretty animated this morning. I was up late last night, as I'm sure many of you were, and you saw the result of this latest, these primary elections for the Democrat Party. The headlines this morning say it all. I've got a collection of them here. Socialist earthquake, one of them said. Mamdani candidates sweep New York House races.
So this is something where people on the right love to treat socialism and communism as if they're the exact same thing, and they're not. And then if you quiz them on the meaning of those two terms, they usually can't give you any sort of follow-up. So their logic is, hey, here's a politician who's trying to push for something to be handled more by the social sector than the private sector, such as healthcare. Therefore, communists. But they're too dumb to see that, well, based on that logic, our public schools are communism. Our fire departments are communism.
The roads are communism.
But hey, they don't just believe whatever the right-wing media tells them, like all those leftists, even though they're just regurgitating shit that they hear from other people.
These are socialists. These are Marxists in their ideology. Next headline, Mamdani hails new chapter for Democrats.
Oh, they don't see you on camera, Kimberly.
Well, that's fine.
You gotta wave high. The chroma keys, since you're new out.
There. Hi. I gotta be next to your face when I say.
One of the Chirons said this morning on the news. Hakeem Jeffries, my counterpart, the Democrat leader here in the House, was booed at some of these return parties last night. You saw that on social media and some of the clips. When he was being interviewed on the screen, the crowds in New York, in his own backyard, in the Bronx, in one of these districts, were booing him. And they shouted, "You're next." Hakeem Jeffries has a tall task ahead of him right now. He's got to go out and somehow make a credible pitch to Democrat establishment donors that that's a good national investment right now. That's a tough one to make. He has just proven that he cannot even hold the line in his own backyard. How can he possibly defend against the Marxist march around the country in these other districts? This is not...
So, Marxism.
The Marxist march.
I don't think, again, universal healthcare is the same thing as Marxist-style communism.
It's socialism. That's what it is, Gene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, based on that logic, every country is a communist country because every country has some social sector. So, again, if investing more in social institution equals communist, then every country is a communist country.
Your father's Democrat parties, we see all the
nuance? What's that?
Time. Last night, among the incumbents who lost, Adriano Espaillat, who's chair of the Democrats' Hispanic Caucus, Dan Goldman, who was mocked for his Jewish heritage in a coffee shop in New York and maligned online because of that.
Okay, so I don't agree with somebody doing that, but we live in a country with hundreds of millions of people, and somebody being a dick or stupid and saying bigoted shit, that does not reflect on the half of the country's population that happens to be registered under the same political party. So based on that logic, any sort of right-wing politician or citizen who says something bigoted, well, hey, that's all Republicans now. You look at a rally and somebody has a swastika flag, therefore that's just everyone on the right.
Democrat
Can I
Party.
say that it is pretty like weird that they accuse like they'll say like, oh, yeah, like Hitler was a socialist, so therefore like if you like subscribe to like socialist ideas, you're like a fascist like Hitler. When it's like in any protest anywhere, I like mostly populated by people on the left, I don't see any like swastikas or any like Luftwaffes or like the skull like any sort of like Nazi or like Confederate symbolism. But the moment that they gather together, it's just all they display is like Nazi flags, right next to the American flag, and it's like it's truly disgusting. But I mean, whatever.
Well, World War II wasn't about Nazism. Yeah. Or at least in the German front. In the same way, like, the Civil War wasn't about slavery.
States' rights.
There's more to the Confederate flag.
Nominated some of the most radical candidates to ever run for office, and they're running for Congress. The insurgent left is on the rise. I was reminded all last night and this morning about
The insurgent left.
The insurgent.
This pendulum swing where, hey, now the other party again is being voted back into like the different offices. Like, this happens every fucking 4 years. It shifts back and forth. Hey, now they're infiltrating because the opposing party is like winning seats again. Oh my god. How dare they? Like, this isn't a democracy anymore.
the warning, the admonition from the Gipper, President Ronald Reagan. And he reminded us constantly, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And he said, it's got to be fought for, it's got to be protected, it's got to be passed along to the next generation so that they too will know the same liberty, opportunity, and security that we've known and frankly too often take it for granted. He said,
so where are the freedoms that are being, like, that are at threat or whatever that people are trying to take away? Do you think he'll go over that?
freedom is not passed along in the bloodstream.
Absolutely not.
It's got to be fought for. And these are the times that Reagan was warning about. He was warning about communism overseas. Now it is on our own shores. And it is a very serious time, and every American needs to wake up and understand the threat.
Okay, well, if we're gonna talk about like an actual academic and legit sort of definition or set of parameters for what's communist, there's only like 6 or 7 communist countries on the planet.
What are they? Name them all.
It's like North Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam,
China.
Cuba. China technically isn't communist, even though it's still like in certain official names of their country, but communism. So you know what? It seems like the world isn't converting to communism. It seems like it's far more capitalist than communist overall, especially in the developed world, and trying to promote certain things like universal healthcare or things like universal daycare, claiming that automatically equates to communism. It's just, that's a false equivalence. And anybody with 2 brain cells can just look at that basic element of, hey, if any inclusion of like some social institution equals communism, then your fire department equals communism. Your military equals communism. The White House and like the cabinet members, that's communism, because all of Congress is communism. They're civil servants and they're not like private sort of employees. We're paying their salary, so it's communism.
I want to share with you some of the lowlights, some of these candidates who are emerging through these through the processes. Last night made crystal clear, as Leader Scalise said, that Zoran Mondani and the AOC and Bernie Sanders have just taken full control of the Democrat Party, or what was left of it. Across the country, Democrats have candidates winning primaries and rising through the ranks. There's a few of them. Vang in California, one of the Democrats, she won't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Hamaway in New Jersey.
Okay, so this is something where I just had an argument with the dude in Discord where people will claim that, like, 4th of July, you criticize elements of, like, extreme patriotism, that means you're shitting on the troops. So, there's this, few years back, there were some football players, they took a knee during the national anthem to protest police brutality. Or to protest against police brutality. And then people are like, hey, a lot of troops died, and they're, disrespecting the flag. It's like, a lot of troops died to protect our freedom, to take a knee during the anthem to protest things like police brutality. So, It's just they gotta stop promoting that sort of false dichotomy. And if America is such a great country because of freedom of speech, then the fact that people have the right to burn the flag or not be required to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance, those are examples of certain liberties that Americans have, and that's a good thing. So, trying to promote people going to jail for burning the flag or acting like that's some heinous sacrilege, sort of act, clearly they just don't know how to think critically. They're arguing against things that they claim to promote.
Are you addressing those comments?
What are they saying?
Oh, you don't have your readers on?
Well, socialism,
Oh,
not communism. There is a difference, but most people don't truly understand either. I agree with him.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is socialism. That is by design. They were both responses to capitalism and its destructive nature. Labels, ... But then he said you're talking... Oh, there he is. You are merely... Is that a different guy? You are merely talking out of your ass. So how you feel has no bearing on facts. All caps. Figure that part out at some point, dipshit. None of what you have said is remotely true.
So I'm talking out of my ass because this guy says so. Nothing you say is true because it isn't. God, that's such a substantive argument.
I'm waiting for them to give an
Yeah.
actual argument. They can drop it at any point. That'd be sick to see.
You're speaking out of your ass because yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, stupid.
I'll make him read the comments so you can... And he loves lengthy comments, too. He likes the long ones.
Socialist candidate, has ties to Al-Qaeda and other terrorists. Chevalier won last night in New York over Hakeem's counter-endorsement. She says she wants to abolish the border. She doesn't want a border for the country. Mendoza in Arizona wants to decriminalize trans prostitution. Apparently that's the thing.
So would you argue that it's communist to allow males and female spaces? That has nothing to do with communism.
What is it even? What?
Yeah, whether you're for or against that, that's just a good example of something that is just not connected to that particular issue.
He's talking about what, trans sports?
It's so thinking that there's an obesity epidemic in America, so you're saying that isn't communism? It's just, wait, what?
No way.
How do those connect?
James in Iowa wants to apologize for being white. Garriott in Iowa performed a Satanist wedding. And Bennett in New Jersey stopped going to church because Trump voters were there. This is just a sampling.
Who the fuck cares if they chose not to go to church because there's Trump voters? So if a right-leaning sort of politician decided that they didn't want to go to church because they claim there's a bunch of libtards there, is that some seditious act? And it's I don't know. Don't think church is really the most productive place to be. Just saying. There is a correlation with in America church attendance and illiteracy, and there's also a correlation between church attendance and obesity. So I don't know. It seems I know causation doesn't equal correlation, but it seems there's a lot of correlations between being a sort of degenerate dumb fuck and being a regular churchgoer. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe that's going too far.
About the satanic wedding. That sounds pretty fucking dope.
And these kind of people have been popping up. You've been hearing me say for...
Well, the Satanist religion, I know there's a couple of them, but the major one, it's just a troll religion. They do it.
It was just be yourself.
Well, they do crap where if certain religious groups, Christian groups in public, sort of spaces, if they try to push having Christian sort of decor or ordinance in that area, they'll show up and then because it's an established religion, they'll push to have Satanist goat heads and everything decorated in the same public spaces. So it's kind of a way to combat that, which, whatever. I could care less whether they follow through with that or not, but they'll get all upset over Satanists, and they're kind of just like feeding the trolls.
Weeks, there are mini Mamdanis popping up all around the country. It is a dangerous thing. This is not a joke.
Mini
We're in a fight right now to save the
Mamdanis?
Republic. And every American...
Yeah, Madani, he is a communist.
I heard that people in New York or city, whatever, are actually like a little bit happier with him.
Well, hey, public
Yeah,
opinion doesn't matter in a democratic country. Only communists care about the satisfaction of the public.
need to take this seriously. You need to wake up. This upcoming midterm election is not the midterm elections of years ago. It's going to decide the direction of the country. Are we going to maintain our status as a constitutional republic on our 250th anniversary? Or are we going to make a new choice and go down some road towards a communist utopia? That's the choice right now. We've been saying for months it's a contrast election. We've been saying it's a contrast between common sense and crazy. That's exactly what's going on. They give us new illustrations every day. And these radical candidates are self-describing. They're self-identifying as Marxist. They want to fundamentally transform this country. And
Are they? So, I mean, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So is he going to actually quote some of these candidates that have said, like, yeah, I identify as a Marxist? I have a feeling that if you look at, like, certain politicians like Bernie Sanders, and you look at the statements they've made, I have a feeling he's kind of strawmanning them a bit.
sadly, many of these Democrat candidates and their voters just don't have the same zeal and affection for America. They don't appreciate the free...
Oh, Kimberly, your favorite person's in the chat.
Bill?
No.
Oh.
freedom that we have in this country. They're not even going to celebrate on July 4th. There's a new Gallup NBC poll that came out. Did you see that? Only 29% of Democrat voters that they polled said they're proud to be an American. What happened to the Democrat Party? They compared the poll from just 20 years ago, where it was 90%. Because that's where Republicans are, above 90%. 29%.
Okay, so the stupid, like, patriotism, like, yeah, America, I just think we live in a global, like, a world where there's a global economy. I think it's kind of stupid to be like, hey, because I was born in this set of borders, I'm going to try to go out of my way to play the stupid team sports game of my country's, like, the greatest country and has to be better than all other countries. Shouldn't you want the whole world collectively to do well and progress? So engaging that sort of, like, childish team sports of, like, yeah, I have to go out of my way to find reasons why my country's superior to this other country. It's like, shouldn't you want that country to thrive as much as your country is? But I guess they don't understand that.
Over half of Democrats now say they would rather live in another country. What a split screen we're seeing. Right now, we're triumphantly hosting the World Cup games all around the country. And we're seeing people from different countries come and get a little taste of America, a little taste of freedom, of our culture and our society, and they appreciate it so much more than these socialists running for Congress. Fans across the country are truly enjoying our world-class facilities and incredible atmosphere on the field and off the field. Thanks to social media, we're seeing a lot of these. This has been encouraging to see. The visitors appreciate what we have. Dutch travelers are in all buckies. German players took a midnight trip to the Waffle.
Okay, so that's never been a thing before, where people overseas who have visited the United States have enjoyed their time in America.
That's never been a thing?
I'm being sarcastic. So that he's, like, pointing to the fact that, like, hey, all these people are visiting due to the World Cup and they're enjoying the country, and it's just, okay, I don't think America is the worst country on the planet, and there's definitely a lot of positives about the United States, but I don't think we're the only country where if you travel here to vacation, you can have a really good time. And I think it is true that there are certain things to praise America for, but that doesn't automatically just discount all the problems that we're facing as a country. And this is something that's really fucking, like, anecdotal. It's just, hey, there's a bunch of tourists that are enjoying the country, therefore, like, communism's evil.
House. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. English fans are roaming the Everglades. Japanese tourists marveling over free chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant in Texas. Don't forget your blessings. People from Europe and Latin America, many countries around the world, many of them, here's the key, they grew up under repressive state-controlled economies. They've never known freedom. They've never known these kinds of things. And they're seeing for themselves the genius of America's system, a system that rewards risk-takers.
So, when it comes to...
Risk-taking? Wait, what? The system that rewards what? Let this guy finish.
Known these kinds of things. And they're seeing for themselves the genius of America's system, a system that rewards risk-takers and entrepreneurs and job creators and innovators and people who create jobs for others and expand the economy and opportunity and broaden the pathway out of poverty
Yeah,
for
the
more
land
people.
of opportunity. I have heard that's true. Like in Germany, it's like you're on a set path and you really can't change careers ever in your life. I don't know all about that.
I'd say
That's what I read on the Reddits.
I would say that there's definitely a dark side to capitalism. You need to find that right balance between capitalism and socialism. So the United States has a mixed economy. So that means that it has elements of capitalism and socialism. It's always had elements of capitalism and socialism. So it's a work in progress, like just like every other country on the planet. So it's about like until we reach some singularity as a species and we turn the planet into some globalist utopia. It's just we as a nation, like all other fucking countries, there's gradual wear and tear that requires maintenance, and it's always going to be some kind of uphill battle. So this kind of like logic of like, hey, like capitalism, land of opportunity and everything, communism's going to ruin it. It's just that's just a false narrative.
That's what the Republicans stand for. That's what French Hill fought for in the housing bill, to give more people a chance, to restore the American dream. That's what we promised to the voters, and that's what we are delivering. The irony is, and it is a sad irony, and I'm so disturbed this morning.
Yeah, they said all countries have good and bad stuff. A universal fact around the world is that only the stupid thing communism is good. Well, I don't think communism is good. Communism is...
You said only the stupid think that, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying communism is socialism on steroids. So, communism's definitely bad. The problem is that just because somebody points to something and says it's communism, that doesn't just magically mean it's communism. Just because you say 2 + 2 = pineapple, that doesn't just magically mean that 2 + 2 = pineapple. Just because you say that, I don't know, some bill to make housing more affordable is communism, that doesn't magically mean that it's communist.
Y'all know me, I'm a happy warrior. I like to be optimistic and happy. This is a very disturbing trend. Visitors around the world marvel at what our system of free enterprise has built, while rising socialist, Marxist, Democrat candidates are trying to tear the system down. That's what they told you in their campaign speeches. That's what they want to do. They want to tear it down. House Republicans are standing in the gap. We're not going to let that happen.
So you have Karl Marx, and he is considered one of the founding, or one of the academics that is the originators of modern sociology. So it's Marx, Durkheim, like Emil Durkheim, and the other two big names. But he is the kind of dude that originated, like, he pioneered the concept of communism. Don't think he was an evil dude, but there's definitely a lot of problems with his model. But again, they keep trying to equate some pretty, like, I don't know, like, benign forms of, like, reform in a country with Marxism or communism.
And we had all the Republicans gathered up this morning, and I gave them the best locker room speech I can muster, because now is the time. We know America is not perfect, has never been, but we've been in a gradual process of making a more perfect union for almost 250 years now. We're going to continue that. America's created more prosperity, it's lifted more people out of poverty, it's expanded more opportunity and innovation than any other country in the world. It's not even close. This is the greatest nation in the history of the world. It's not even close. Look at any objective factor. You hear me say it all the time. We're the most free, most successful,
I'm not a
most benevolent.
leftist. Go truck, whatever.
Yeah, she loves Donald Trump. She always wants to wear a manga hat on stream, and I always tell her, like, no, you can't.
Oh my God.
And it's not by happenstance. It says we're built on very firm foundational principles that the Marxists and the Socialists have disdain for. What are the principles of America? I mean, it's not a rhetorical question. You all should be able to answer it. Things like individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity. The
what's that?
sanctity of
Nothing.
Because it's articulated in the nation's birth certificate in the Declaration. It says right there in the second paragraph. We hold these truths to be self-evident. What is a self-evident truth? It's something you have to know. It's obvious. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. It does not say just born equal. It says created equal by someone. And it's our Creator God who gave us our inalienable rights. Among those rights, life.
Oh, we're a Christian nation, and of course, that's not in the Constitution at all.
Happiness.
Yeah,
Such a profound
separation
statement.
of church and state, but whatever.
When they did that 250 years ago, they were saying something the bold proclamation of a self-evident truth. And the implication is that every single person is made in the image of that creator, because the guys that wrote that, the men that wrote that, the founders that wrote it, were students of scripture, and they understood, because everybody's made in the image of God, it means every single person has inestimable dignity and value. And your value is not related in any way to the color of your skin, or what zip code you live in, or what your talents are. It's all irrelevant. Your value is inherent, because it's given to you by God.
Research the Greek demiurg, please. I don't know that word. Please look into the Kabbalistic view. What? The deity that you call Yahweh is one of the same with these. It's an alien present. What is that? Can you translate that?
Don't know.
Marxists and the socialists do not believe what I just told you. They don't believe it. Marxism, Karl Marx, his philosophy begins with the premise that there is no God. The state is the God. The state is the one that gives you your rights. And guess what? When the state gives you all your rights...
Okay, so I don't think that was part of his doctrine or his thesis behind like communism. He's referring to Stalinism, where like Lenin and Stalin and like Mao also adopted that, where they did try to ban all religion. And it's like, no, the state is your ruler. The state is your God. And that's not from Karl Marx. So they don't... and a lot of these people, like, they think that Karl Marx from Russia, and I believe he was German. He wasn't even Russian. So...
sending me Google it.
Yeah.
The state can take the rights away. Nobody's telling all these little young self-described socialists, oh, we'll give you free stuff, but you're going to have to give up your freedom to go along. They don't tell them that. This thing's going to crash and burn. It always has throughout history. And the lesson of the 20th century alone is that tens of millions of innocent people have died because of these crazy, quixotic notions. We have to stand for freedom. We got to stand for America. We got to stand on the 250th birthday with greater conviction, clarity, and consistency than we ever have.
German.
He was German.
Yeah.
I'm glad that millions of visitors here.
And I do know he had to, because of his views, he was like exiled, and he had to move to Britain.
World Cup, see that? I'm glad they got.
I mean, his cousins Groucho and Harpo are way funnier.
Yeah.
Giving us one. All our faults and disagreements aside, America's filled with the most decent and faithful people. This grand experiment in self-governance has worked because we've adhered to the foundations, and we have to defend them. And that's what the Republicans are doing right now. We're defending the foundations of the greatest country in the history of the world, not against your father's Democrat Party, but now against the Marxists.
And that's the other thing. So it's one thing to argue that America is one of the top countries in certain areas, but is there really any sort of metric you can use to determine which country is the greatest country? It's just, there's so many variables at play. We're talking about so many different metrics that like can be used, metrics that are calculating data in the hundreds of millions, billions to trillions. Like people that, like, I don't know, like tried to claim that like, hey, this country is the best country.
Like me.
Well, it seems like they like interpret things in a very rudimentary manner, and they fail to see just the complexity there and how arbitrary that title is when you claim that like a country is the greatest country.
Arbitrary is like your favorite word.
Yeah.
We're ready for the fight. I'm telling you, the House Republicans are fired up for this. We're going to win this midterm election. We're going to maintain the beacon of hope and freedom and opportunity that this country has always been. Indeed, as our first Republican president Lincoln said, and as Reagan repeated, America is the last best hope of man on the earth. I'm up to fight. These guys are up for the fight. This chairman.
And it's not like Reaganomics is an example of how fucked up capitalism can be, and it's not like Reaganomics has really fucked the country over.
Yeah.
I'm just confused.
these are the people.
Why this guy looks like he stole a pair of glasses from Mr. Potato Head.
But what was JLB going to say?
I don't know. These are the same people who like say that, oh, like you should support like mom and pop shops, but then they'll go ahead and like tell you how great fucking Reaganomics were and how like, you know, it was like the best thing since sliced bread, even though that like pretty much single-handedly destroyed most, you know, mom and pop shops, and the reason why all these large, you know, corporations are like taking over, and why Walmart's like in every fucking town.
Yeah, and it's also like billionaires, they used to be taxed. What was it?
90%, right?
Yeah. So, but now it's gone down to like under 15%. And they are able, because they're the uber wealthy, they're able to hire like as many lawyers as they need to exploit loopholes where they're paying less than 1% of their earnings in taxes. And then you have people so a lot of people on the right where it's just, hey, these people who are receiving handouts, they don't work, they're not paying their fair share. Well, you have your sort of like upper middle class white collar Americans, your lawyers, your doctors, your architects, accountants, and they are like half of their paycheck goes to taxes. So why are people who are working like those very important jobs that like I know with medical doctors, that's one of the jobs that has the highest burnout rates. Why are they spending 50 something % of their paycheck on taxes, but then billionaires are spending like less than 1% of their earnings in taxes? So
if even less than 1%, like
Yeah.
some even just get by completely not paying fucking anything.
I don't think you understand. When the billionaires get to keep all of their money, that trickles down to us regular assholes.
Yeah, and that's why a third of Americans can't afford like a $300 emergency.
Well, well, like he said in the beginning, is like America's great because we have like rich people, basically, like entrepreneurs and stuff, and like because they give people jobs, they're so great, and that's why they shouldn't pay taxes.
So, what percentage of those entrepreneurs are self-made?
Fucking none of them.
Yeah, and so in Atlas Shrugged, so that's a big like pro-capitalist, anti-communist novel. Ayn Rand, I don't think she makes a really good point when it comes to like she tries to depict the characters. Was it James Reardon and Daphne Taggart as they're these pioneers, and society just didn't accept their brilliance. Society keeps putting barriers in place to keep like your inventive sort of pioneers from like actually advancing the country as a whole. Now, the problem is the characters in the book, which are fictional characters where she could write them as growing up in your sort of average middle class setting, or she could write it where it's a rags to riches kind of narrative. The characters are written where they're born into multi-million-dollar families. It's just
nice.
I don't think they really get it.
Wait, okay, so this comment, he said like, where he was like, y'all guys are fucking idiots. Okay, well, he said that millionaire or billionaires, whatever, pay taxes, and like, I didn't understand this for a while, but there's a video that like, or there's probably more than one video that breaks it down that like all their the revenue or what they make, they just invest it, and when you invest, you don't have to pay taxes until you like sell, and so buy, sell, the market, and then you can take out loans on your investments tax-free, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of ways that they don't pay taxes.
Yeah, well, it's loopholes, and the person's like, "Hey, you're an idiot," like saying billionaires don't pay taxes. We didn't say they don't pay any taxes. We're saying that the amount of taxes they pay relative to the amount of money they make is very negligible. And they're not paying their fair share.
If they were taxed more, then they would maybe pay their employees more instead of like keeping that money. That's how it used to be, if I'm not mistaken. That's a video I saw.
Well, it's also, even if, let's say, they didn't pay any taxes, it's the same as it is now. They make so much fucking money. There is no reason why they don't pay all their employees a livable wage.
Yeah, $1 billion's an insane amount of money.
So at that point, it is just greed. The amount of money they have, like regardless of whether you think they should be paying more taxes, well, look at their employees. It's just, why can't they pay their employees a livable wage? It's just, it's not going to really negatively affect them at all. They're still going to be drowning in wealth, where if you, like, I don't know, stole 90-something% of their net worth, It's just their family, like several generations down the line, would still be living in the lap of luxury. People really don't seem to understand the extreme when it comes to how much wealth they have.
Well, and then it's not because, like, people like my parents will be like, well, they deserve the money. They worked hard for it. They, make jobs. Okay, sure. But why don't people deserve to live comfortably for working?
Oh,
For making somebody else rich?
Goat Voice in the chat, Rick and Morty guy. They haven't been around in a
Oh.
while.
I don't know him.
I know there's a spin-off to Rick and Morty that's coming out in a couple weeks. What is it, President Curtis? So,
I don't
Goat
know.
Voice, are you going to be around in the Discord when we watch it? Yeah, that was kind of
Best.
a little off topic.
Oh, it's fine. I can get a little off topic. Actually, by the way,
This week-
I'm noticing we have about like 35 people here, but the likes seem to be at 8. Can we move the likes to at least like 20? That'd be really cool.
Yeah, you guys are so ungrateful. Oh, Skeppy's
Yeah.
here. Skeppy's usually the person at the very beginning of the stream, tells everybody to like the stream.
Yeah.
Leads the party.
Are you skeptical of billionaires? Skeptical Jesus?
Hmm.
Oh, God.
Well, Jesus. Do you think Jesus was more of a communist or a capitalist?
Oh, that's a
I
good
don't
question.
know. If you look at his sort of principles and ideologies, I think a lot of people on the right that like to accuse certain politicians like Bernie Sanders as being a communist, I have a feeling that they would brand Jesus as some like left-leaning libtard communists. It's almost like they don't actually read the Bible and they don't actually know like what these doctrines are that they like to blindly pander to.
marks the
If
end of the term
Jesus
for
was a real person, like he'd probably get shot by ICE, and then all these people who were like supposed Christians would like laugh at it, like.
But
This
Jesus
fucking-
was white though.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Why
sure.
would he be shot?
the United
Jesus
States
was
Supreme
black.
No, he wasn't black.
He was born
Court.
in Israel, right?
Yeah, but they weren't black.
He was black.
He was middle.
Wow, Gene, you sound pretty racist. We got a
Oh.
racist in here.
In the wake of several victories for the Trump
Damn.
administration, some Democrats are once again calling for their party to expand the size of the high court once they regain power. But as legal scholars point out, not all of the decisions fell for Trump, and some are warning what could happen if the third branch of government is altered. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell.
The Supreme Court's recent decisions prompting Democrats to call for change. Senate hopeful Graham Plattner pushing for ending lifetime Supreme Court appointments. And here's what the former and possible future presidential nominee said just weeks ago.
Okay, I do not want her to be president. Please.
Kamala?
Well, the Democratic Party,
You don't want
please
a
give
black-
us somebody else.
You don't want a black woman to be president?
I don't care if they're a woman. I don't care if they're black. I just don't want them to be Kamala Harris.
She's 1,000%
We talk about the
black.
idea
Hmm.
of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court.
It's an idea that's been floated since 1937 and what's often referred to as FDR's court packing plan. Some legal experts relieved
Ooh,
that
God. So, he died of
floated since
polio?
1937 and what's often
Sorry.
referred to as FDR's.
I'm guessing that's him, like, towards the end of his 4th term.
Check on my cats.
Or, I guess, he passed away during the beginning of his 4th term, but probably towards the tail end. He definitely looks like, he's being eaten alive.
court packing plan. Some legal experts relieved that nearly 100 years later, the calls have not been heeded.
Every future time we get a new party in power, they would add further seats. You would go into a death spiral where we wound up with a 25-seat Supreme Court, and it just would cease to be functional.
Well, here's something that might alleviate this issue. Maybe it's retarded that out of all the branches of government, the Supreme Court, the justices are appointed as opposed to being elected. It's kind of weird that on like a local state level, and this is even before like the United States was a sovereign state, judges for the longest time have been elected. So why are the most important judges in like the most Supreme Court in the nation, why are they appointed? And then they also serve like for life, so there's no term limits. So if they are going to be appointed, why aren't there term limits? So it's stupid that it's pretty like antiquated So it's just they're almost it's kind of like a system of government you expect of the monarchy. They're appointed and they serve for life, and it's just weird how they seem to have things like nailed down when it came to the checks and balances with the executive branch and the legislative branch. Term limits, elected by the people, but for some reason the Supreme Court, I don't know, maybe they just forgot to fade out the like elements of monarchy there.
While the Trump White House did have several victories this term, decisions on two of President Trump's key priorities, tariffs and birthright citizenship, did not land in his favor.
Get that
The
off
court
the screen.
Kimberly hates children.
also ruled against his ability to fire Federal Reserve Board member Lisa
Babies
Cook
are
and rejected Donald Trump's appeal.
I keep trying to get her to, like, I want to adopt a kid with her.
Get pregnant.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
can't get pregnant. You,
Yeah,
like,
I know,
you mutilate it yourself.
Sexual
Damn.
abuse and
America was
Scoop
never
me.
free. It's an illusion by those in power.
Gene wants
Well, is there any truly free country?
defamation case in which he was ordered to pay E.
Sweden.
Jean Carroll $5 million.
Well, you were telling me the other day about how China just murders people for protesting. Isn't that ain't that right? Excuse me.
I don't know. I'm okay with that as long as
Oh.
as long as the people that are executing have views I don't agree with.
Oh,
It's
Okay,
yeah,
you
it's
have to say
terrible.
You're joking.
I'm
Nobody
joking
knows
in
you're
Minecraft.
joking.
Like, I'm sorry. There's something wrong with a person if they won't pick up on the fact that that's a joke.
No, there's not anything wrong with them. You like don't laugh after your jokes. You don't say "I'm just kidding."
Okay, yes,
Like,
mom.
you're pretty
Republicans
fucking what robot voice, right? Enemy, right, Joby? Like we had this discussion with Gene the other day, and he still
Mhm.
doesn't believe me.
been
Yep.
sounding alarm.
But I'm on camera. I'm smiling.
Well, you
Fucking Lord.
always have some like degrading smile on your face, though, right?
I'm
armbands for
degrading.
months.
He's here to keep me in check.
Last month, this constitutional amendment passed out of the House Judiciary Committee to require that the Supreme Court of the United States be composed of 9 justices.
How can the Supreme Court protect Americans from government overreach if the same government can pack the court whenever it dislikes a ruling?
And while many of the Supreme Court's decisions benefit Donald Trump now, some legal experts predict those same decisions
How about this? Just every single president, we get another Supreme Court member. We get another justice. So then at this point, there'd be like 200 something justices.
could help
Oh, yeah.
Democratic presidents in the future.
When the court
Wait, you
strikes
just
down
keep the
independent
skeleton around once they're dead? I mean, what?
Yeah. Well,
All right,
no,
you know
it's
what?
just
I'm in. I'm fucking in.
every single like new president or new term. So every new presidential election, whoever's voted in that particular term, they get to add a new justice. So every 4 years, it just increase it by 1. And at that point, there'd probably be like 400 justices by now.
agencies. That means right now, Trump is at will, at leisure to fire any member of the FTC, FCC, SEC, etc. It also means the next time we have a Democratic president, they can fire every Republican appointee to those same commissions.
So what do the American people?
And something interesting with like the Supreme Court, something a lot of people don't think about is like with of course laws, they gotta be, you need a popular vote, and then like the president can sign off on it. When it comes to executive orders, laws can override executive orders, and of course they're supposed to be constitutional. But if the Supreme Court, if they decide, like, they're supposed to interpret the Constitution, but is there really any solid sort of boundaries when it comes to how broadly they can interpret the Constitution? So what is it? Is it the Fourth Amendment? Like, it's they can't, like, soldiers can't like take up residence in people's houses. What if they interpret that as it's okay to light kittens on fire?
Whoa.
Then we're
Or-
gonna see a lot of kittens on fire.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
What if they decide that it goes against the Second Amendment to put pineapple on pizza?
Mm.
It's just they said it's unconstitutional. So I mean, really,
the
they're
Supreme Court system only works if those people are infallible, and they're not.
Well, I don't know. Like do find maybe I should try to get myself appointed as a justice, because I really want to do something really extreme like that as a social experiment. Because do you think Congress would go along with it? It's like, yeah, we're no longer going to pass bills that go against this extreme ruling that they made, or do you think the executive branch is going to be like, yeah, we're going to start arresting people now for putting pineapple on pizza?
People think recent polls show a pretty even split between those who do and do not want to expand the size of the Supreme Court. But when it comes to adding term limits or age limits for justices, the majority of Americans on a bipartisan basis do support that. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Also new tonight, Ohio U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno is reintroducing a bill to end birthright citizenship.
So this comes just days after the U.S. Supreme
Court. Oh, and each state has its own Supreme Court because each state's supposed to be its own little mini country.
Supreme Court struck down President Trump's executive order. The bill was originally authored by late U.S. Senator.
Now, the thing is, rulings from the federal Supreme Court overrides any rulings from a state Supreme Court. So this is just them, like, doing it more out of principle because they're not going to be able to actually enforce this.
Harry Reid back in 1993, years before he became the Democratic leader in the Senate. It would clarify the 14th Amendment and end birthright citizenship for children born to undocumented immigrants. The bill would also reduce the number of immigrants accepted each year and limit asylum seekers. Senator Moreno says in a statement, it's a great bill, so I say let's vote on it and find out once and for all if Harry Reid would still have a home in the modern Democratic Party.
The latest primary results appear to show a rising support for democratic socialism in the country. That includes the election of politicians like New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. 3 congressional candidates he endorsed also just won primary.
That is such a bad, like, butchery. That was like so fucking incredibly wrong. The dude should be ashamed of himself. That's
fire him right away. Inexcusable club.
Quote, new path is being paved by democratic socialism. The rise of the concept is evident across the country, including Alexandria Ortiz and the likely next mayor of Washington, D.C., Shanice Lewis George. It's nothing new, but its more recent revival is often linked to Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who framed it this way when he first ran for president.
Democratic socialism means that we must reform a political system which is corrupt, that we must create an economy that works for all.
Okay, so he said socialism, and as we all know, socialism is the same thing as communism. They're the exact same thing.
Not just the very wealthy.
Other Democratic Socialist congressional or gubernatorial candidates are on the ballot this year in Colorado, Michigan, and Wisconsin. They broadly support universal health care and greater housing affordability, less restrictive immigration controls, more environmental protections, reduce U.S. military budgets, and support ending military and economic aid to Israel.
Well, I mean, isn't, like, the military communism? I mean, it is something that is completely and totally funded through taxpayer dollars.
Socialism, Gene, get it straight.
So, I mean, and plus, they give people free, like, healthcare and free higher education if people serve in the military.
And housing.
Communism.
All right, tonight's deep dive. The immediate impact on migrants after the Supreme Court handed the president a couple of really big wins for his administration's immigration agenda. Alex Tsume is the...
Let's get to a video where Trump talks. Those are my favorite.
I don't know if we have any of those this stream.
Mayor of North Miami joins me now.
You could probably look through.
With more on the latest of what this means for Haitian migrants in the city. And Mayor, first, thank you so much for your time. But I'm curious, what...
somebody said the headliner reads right-wing zealots. What about left-wing zealots? Yeah, there are left-wing zealots. I don't deny that. And we've gone over, like, left-wing zealots on the stream in the past. So I'm not going to act like irrational people don't exist on the opposite end of the spectrum.
What kind of impact is this ruling going to have for your North Miami community here?
North Miami.
Thank you, Alex, and we want to say...
And here's the thing, regarding the stupid sort of like blind patriotism, I had a back and forth with somebody on Threads where they posted something about how, like, America's the worst country. And it's like, okay, I think it's stupid to try to, like, put America on a pedestal and ignore the problems, but I'm also not going to engage in that sort of virtue signaling where I'm going to pretend that, like, yeah, like, America's worse than any other nation. I'll acknowledge that, okay, like, most of the world is really fucked up, and I'd rather live in the United States than the Republic of Congo or Somalia or North Korea. So, yeah, I'm not going to pretend that like America's the only country with problems, and I don't think it's number one, but I think on a lot of the indexes, like the Human Development Index and things like the Happiness Index, like Freedom of the Press Index, America's usually in the top 20 or top 30. It's usually like number 22, 23. So I'd say that maybe America's like the 24th or 19th best country. Don't really think it's the best country.
19's pretty good.
Yeah.
Our hearts and prayers are to our neighboring city, Doral, right
here. But I will say that, I don't know, I'd rather live in Iceland than the United States or Finland.
Yeah, but does Amazon ship there in like 2 minutes? No.
Probably.
Who the fuck would want to live somewhere where Amazon isn't like, shipping there right away?
Now, I will say America's better than Canada because Canada is responsible for Justin Bieber and Kaido.
Regarding the devastating earthquake that happened in Venezuela, the impact is obviously devastating, as we know.
Okay, so here's where, when it comes to different extremes, so a lot of people on the right, something like abortion, they'll claim that, hey, if there is a minor who is a victim of the R word, and they're forced to give birth to a child under those extremes, it's like, okay, there are extremes where, like, will yield an exception when it comes to something like abortion. So regardless of how pro, like, or anti-immigration you are, when it comes to things like asylum seekers from Haiti, where sending them back to Haiti is likely to result in lots of people being burned alive by their current ruler, Lieutenant Barbecue, I think it's kind of fucked up to say that, you know what, maybe we can give these guys a pass. When you're pretty much signing off on their, death, sentence by sending them there. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with you if you think it's wrong to keep, asylum seekers in the country in, an extreme case like this.
Yeah.
This has been, for the last 24 hours, something a lot of TPS holders were hoping this would not have been the case, especially at the rank of what we just, the excitement of the Haitian national team with the recent Supreme Court decision. It's just leaving a lot of families throughout the community, not only in South Florida, but throughout our nation, worry what's the next step. So the anxiety is high, and a lot of residents are really, really concerned and nervous.
One of the issues, so people on the right, when it comes to immigration, they don't like how a lot of drugs find their way into the United States through being trafficked through, the U.S.-Mexican borders. However, Haiti, the gangs took over the country. And they were able to break out all of, the gang members from all the prisons to the point where there's more, armed gang members than there are state police or military officials.
Yes.
And
I want to live there.
Do you know where they got all the firearms, how those firearms got into the country?
The U.S.
Yeah, Florida. So, this is a scenario where a lot of the blame, not all of it, but can be contributed to the United States.
Whoa.
And you could blame a lot of, negligence when it comes to our regulations, when it comes to firearms. With them, with these gangs and militias acquiring such a large stockpile where they're able to overthrow the government. So maybe we owe it to some of the people who fled the country because they're likely to be burnt alive by Lieutenant Barbecue. Maybe we can give them asylum for 5, 6, 7 years while things cool down.
Isn't it the more guns, the safer everything is?
Yeah, everyone has a gun in Haiti. All the gangsters and stuff, and everyone's really safe.
And what's next?
Thanks to America. We got so many guns that we made it so one of our neighbors is just flooding with firearms.
Well, and listen, I know you've seen in the comment.
I swear, I saw this guy one time. He was like, it was some YouTuber. He's like, the more armed states in the U.S. are safer or something, or the gun safety education. I don't know what it was. I was like, well, that's interesting. I would like to learn more about that.
Somebody says, nope, deport everyone.
Yeah, we'll start.
Yes,
we'll start with them.
I agree. Deport everyone, even natural-born citizens. Just make it so. Give
Native
the land.
Americans.
Yeah, Native Americans. Deport them as well. The only residents left are all the deer and wildlife and.
I was saying
and
Native
everything.
Americans should be able to stay because weren't they the first ones here?
Truthfully, yeah.
Now we gotta engage in like equality when it comes to the deportation, so everyone's gotta go.
Social media posts about this ruling. There are folks who say that temporary is meant to be exactly that, temporary. What's your response to them?
Well, as we know, the word temporary, which TPS has been renewed for over 18 times, one of the factor which I think the administration did not really look into or overlook is the impact and the condition of Haiti. Haiti continued to face extraordinary challenges, including, ongoing violence, political, instability, and it's a really humanitarian crisis. So to say you will send residents who have said over and over again, this might be a death sentence to them, where you have gangs running the country, it really, really disturbing and really question on what is our value and what we do next as a community.
Yeah, well, legal experts have said.
And also, one of the reasons why Haiti is so fucked up is
The France.
Yep,
I know it.
France. You can blame
Everything on France. They suck. They're the worst.
Well, after they had an original rebellion and they overthrew like the French governors that were there, France sent in a blockade and forced them to sign some treaty where they granted them their independence, but in exchange they had to pay what was triple the country's overall GDP. So it forced them into perpetual bankruptcy.
This is so horrible.
And then the United States in the early 20th century, they also jumped on board when it came to they supported France when it came to a lot of their sanctions on Haiti and tariffs as well. So one of the reasons it's such a fucking shithole is because of outside interference from other major Western powers.
From
So
the whites.
well, I was trying not to say that, but that is something where people who don't know their history, they'll point to other countries yeah, look at how much of a shithole Africa is. It's well, you look at parts of Africa the Central Republic of Congo or the Democratic Republic of Congo. There's this thing known as the Congolese genocide, and there was this dude King Leopold II who murdered more I think he had a higher kill count than Hitler.
What about Mao?
Yeah.
So well, we're talking about Africa here.
Sorry.
And it's just a lot of the problems there stem from Western sort of rule and colonialism. So they don't really seem to know much about history that precedes the 80s or the 70s. A lot of people, it's just quiz them on history just a couple decades before their birth date, and that's where their knowledge ends.
That the execution of these rulings usually happens about a month after they're issued. So I'm curious, what are you going to do in the coming weeks to prepare for TPS to end for many of your residents?
Well, typically when TPS, a president and TPS, usually the recipient will have approximately 6 months, but we're hearing all type of, rumors. We have not gotten any notice. And as soon as next week, the uncertainty might start. So a lot of our residents, not only in North Miami, but throughout the entire nation, as we work with different social service and different nonprofits in the community, they are really worried. They don't know what to do, how to plan next, or how long do they have in terms of organizing their affairs and really seeing what's next.
Well, and given the nature of the story, I think it's worth mentioning. You yourself are Haitian American. I'm curious. I mean, is this touching you or your family personally?
It's touching my community. So obviously they are my family, and it's touching folks right here in my community in South Florida. Obviously, as you know, we are we have one of the largest concentration of Haitian American in the country. Mm-hmm. But as you see, to go back to the first question.
See, I don't know. We need to do something about Florida.
I thought it was Cubans that were all over Miami.
Well, a lot of Caribbean countries, there's
Caribbean.
yeah. They have large populations in Florida.
We see what's going on in Venezuela. A lot of these
Florida's a lot closer to that part of the globe compared to most other states.
came after the 2010 earthquake, trying to establish some type of legal remedy here in this country. And this is a major blow for these families who have contributed a lot to our.
And that's another thing. So when it comes to Haiti and the Dominican Republic, whenever there are earthquakes or tsunamis, it always hits Haiti much harder than the Dominican Republic.
The environment's racist.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, there's always much greater casualties, and there's a lot more collateral. So I don't know. The universe just seems to hate Haiti for some reason.
Economy who have
right in the name.
Children here. So now you talk about a separation of family. Some have purchased homes. This is the community that they think they would have called home, and they've been trying for the past couple of years to get legal status.
Okay, let's get to the next story. Wait, where'd the playlist go?
No, all that work organizing the playlist, and now you can't find it.
Oh, there it is.
I deleted it.
Throw him off balance.
For the mayor, some members of the Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the
boy.
language you used at the
That's what?
That's the boy. That's the man right there.
rally last
Dude.
week.
Communist.
Monsters.
Wait, did he show his birth certificate?
Oh,
Dark money. These are phrases
yeah.
that invoke old anti-Semitic
Even though they
tropes,
know that
conspiracy
he's like not a U.S. citizen, like or well, born and like on U.S. soil, but whatever.
theories. What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very
Now, should somebody who is not a natural born citizen, should they be allowed to serve as president?
I want it to be the case because so far it's just been pretty like dog shit as far as like, decisions go. I'm fucking, I mean, I don't know. I'm open to it personally. I don't give a fuck.
I say give Arnold Schwarzenegger a shot. It was good for California. It might be good for the whole nation.
He was not good for California.
Details.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say there's the three qualifiers for being president. One is like they have to be 35 years and older. The other ones they need to be a natural born citizen. The third is they need to have resided in the country for I forget what it is, like 15 years or something. So I think I agree with that. If they've resided in the country long enough, let them run for president.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like somebody from like fucking like Belfast just like comes in and just runs for president. Like obviously have some sort of like establishment in the country or like, something.
Yeah. But if they moved here and got their citizenship when they were 4 years old and they're 42, I think somebody like that, maybe they should have the right to run for president.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000
Whoa.
Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military.
Okay, wait. Someone that's not in government should be a president. Like, career politicians, they're not allowed to be president.
Well, certain states, they do have higher standards for who can run. So, like, a lot of states, like, if you want to run for governor or, like, their state Congress or their General Assembly, whatever it is, you have to have, like, a law degree or a certain amount of college education. So, like, I do think there are some problems there when it comes to putting, like, creating certain qualifiers based on level of education, because there's, like, diploma mills. You could argue that is university really the only or best form of education? But when it comes to judges, like, some states, you don't need to have a law degree to be a judge, but the overwhelming majority, you do. So, I mean, maybe if you want to be president, you should at least pass the bar exam. I don't know.
Look,
maybe.
I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about. The current president wasn't a fucking politician, and look how that's working out for everyone.
Oh, yeah. But the bar exam, that's like a good example where it's just, okay, should they need a law degree? Maybe not. But if you think you're qualified enough to be the president of the United States, maybe you should know, like, enough about politics and civics and everything to the extent where you're able to pass the bar exam. So maybe that. You don't need to go to law school, but pass the bar exam, and I think you're qualified.
Since the so-called ceasefire. Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization.
Who's the dude? Catch Me If You Can?
Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, who was the main character, or the dude it was based on?
I don't know, actually.
Well, I know that whoever they were, they actually did pass their bar exam without going to law school. And they actually practiced law and served as a lawyer. And they claimed that they went to Harvard Law School, and then like one of their associates found out and started questioning them, so they had to give up their career in law, but they did manage to pass their bar exam without going to law school.
That has been supportive.
Hasn't Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, didn't he do that too? He's just very smart and just passes tests because he likes to do tests.
Mm.
He has a hot daughter.
So somebody in the chat said Abe Lincoln barely had any formal education, self-taught. Okay, well, like I said, you can study on your
back
own.
in the day too.
Yeah.
To be fair.
But you can also study on your own accord and take the bar exam. Like, I don't think you should be allowed to practice a lawyer, but I think at the very least, if you want to be the president of the United States, the third most heavily populated country on the planet, and the country that spends the most on its military than any other country, so it's a big global fucking power that doesn't just, the decisions that person makes doesn't just affect people within the country, but has a very significant effect on the world abroad. I think that maybe somebody like that should be able to pass some tests like the bar exam.
Nah,
I think we should probably have slightly higher standards than we do.
Of the status quo that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people, not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election. And I think
this is communist propaganda. He's talking about rich people and dirty politicians finding ways to launder money. Oh my God.
It is
such slander.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if somebody shows you a peer-reviewed article that is written by a chemist in order to refute something associated with chemistry, that's a libtard source. But a billionaire, you gotta trust everything they have to say. Because there's no bias and no agenda.
That when we ask ourselves how such death and destruction is happening overseas.
How would they get that rich if they weren't smart?
Through inheritance?
Yeah, Gene.
We also name those who allow it to take place.
Sorry, we're gonna go.
And plus, there is genetic environmental factors. So, okay, I'm not gonna deny that certain, aristocrats like Bill Gates and stuff, it's okay, yeah, some of them are fairly intelligent, but they also had a lot of opportunity that other people who are just as intelligent didn't have.
He got lucky.
Yeah, so there is luck associated with anybody and their success. Sometimes it's just opportunity. You happen to meet the right people at the right time. But then you can also be a genius and be a really smart person, and also be really unethical and be a tyrant. So, I mean, if you point to a lot of the great killers in human history, a lot of them, they weren't stupid people, but they still were responsible for a lot of genocide and a lot of, Stalin, Hitler. I wouldn't necessarily say that they were dumb, but they definitely aren't good people.
Okay, Kim Kardashian, she became a lawyer, right? Dueling
No,
banjos.
I'm pretty sure she continually failed that.
Oh, she did. Oh, okay.
Like, I know someone in the chat said that she passed, but I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I know she kept trying, but I believe she did keep failing.
She was trying to get some dude, like, out, because I forgot the whole deal, but basically what the government owed him, like, $1 million or millions of dollars, and they were trying to get out of that, and she was like, you gotta let this poor guy go. Great summary, I know, but that's all I can tell you.
Don't know anything about it.
Yeah, like, you know how it's like if you go to jail and you're wrong, I don't know what exactly it is, but if you're wrongly held or wrongly accused or something, then the government owes you money for, like, wasting your fucking time.
Yeah, but it's only for a certain amount of years, so it's and I think it's state by state, and of course whether you go to federal prison or state prison, but it is a pretty small amount of money. So it's something like it's less than 100K for each year that they were there, and it's only like a maximum of 5 or 6 years. So the amount of money they're given really, I don't think compensates for like the fact that they had 6, 7, 8 years of their life taken away from them, and also a lot of fucked up stuff probably happened to them while those 5, 6 years were taken away from them. I think if somebody is wrongly accused of a crime, if they spend like more than a year or two in prison, maybe they get an early retirement and they don't ever need to work again.
Your word choice, though, monsters. Do you have any regret? Would you clarify or apologize for that?
So, I was quoting Gramsci, who said that the old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. Now is the time of monsters. I used the term to describe all those who are preventing the birth of a new world. Not solely AIPAC, but frankly, super PACs at large who are spending millions of dollars in deceptive and misleading ads that are blanketing airwaves, not just in the case of Maria Elisa Avila Chevalier, but also we see that kind of PAC spending when it comes to oppose Brad Lander, who's running for Congress, as well as Claire Valdez, as well as a number of other races.
Sped up. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
And I also use the term
You need to get
to
used to
describe a
gene
politics
speed.
that for far too long has asked working people to lower their expectations. It has asked working people to be satisfied with small victories as their wages grow even smaller. And my use of the term is a broad use that speaks to the untenable nature of a status quo that is quite literally starving people in the city, all in the name of sustaining something that we simply cannot defend any longer. Thank you.
Henry, go ahead.
Now, I mean, he's criticizing AIPAC and everything, but shouldn't the right kind of agree with that? Because, I mean, aren't they all anti, like, foreign sort of encroachment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
They want to talk about the invader, but they don't want to look at the country that's, like, literally been invading since their inception, so...
Do they take
I don't
issue
know.
with, I don't know, all of those, like, child labor camps in Central Africa where they're mining precious minerals like cobalt? And it's like Intel and all these tech corporations that are exploiting that, like corporations that are U.S. corporations, or like Apple, where there's factories in China that have nets installed to stop the workers from committing suicide. So it's just, hey, we got to keep the asylum seekers, we got to keep the immigrants out. Like, how dare they try to come in here and work, whether they're like documented or undocumented, but yet, I mean, shouldn't they also be against corporations and like elements of our country encroaching into other countries? And I don't know, like, seems like they're kind of exploiting people overseas and fucking with like the, you know, the livelihood or the well-being of people in those countries. But I guess it's rules for thee, but not for me.
Henry, right here.
Zoran Mamdani and his supporters have been milking the Knicks championship, acting like winning at basketball spells victory for the mayor's signature policy ideas, like freezing rents, opening government-run grocery
Government-run grocery store? What?
So, well, yeah, it's communism. So, like, people making a big deal about that, it's just, how is it any different than something like SNAP benefits or food stamps?
Well, they would have a fucking problem with that. So, like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing inherently wrong with it. I mean, like, there have been multiple times where they froze, like, the rent, you know, and, like, nobody gave a fucking shit till, like, he did it.
Yeah, and then it's also with, like, the government grocery store. I mean, it's you have private schools and you have public schools. So if you have like a handful of government grocery stores, that's a good example of social institution coinciding with private institution. So it's one thing if they outlaw all like private supermarkets and it's like, nope, they all have to be run by the state. But if they just open up a few like state sort of like supermarkets, I don't think that automatically equates to communism.
No.
Stores and taxpayer-financed daycare for 2-year-olds. This is your city on socialism.
Okay, so lots of European countries have universal daycare. So that's something that
Europe is socialist.
yeah, so I mean, I'm again, like when I talked about how I don't think America's the worst country, I think if you're going to be objective and you look at all the different indexes out there, that I'd say we're probably like 27, 21, 19. There are a lot of countries that definitely surpass America when it comes to things like the happiness index, the human development index. Their citizens are much more well off, more well educated, and those countries have universal daycare and universal healthcare. And in fact, like when you talk about declining birth rates and you got boomers talking about how like Zoomers, they're not having children, they're selfish. Well, having kids isn't really that affordable. And one of the things is like 2 years of daycare is more expensive than college tuition. So that's another element where it's like you got maternity leave. And in America, like parents pretty much are given little to no time when it comes to something like maternity leave compared to other countries. But on top of all that, it's just if they have a child who isn't a preschool-aged kid, they're kind of fucked. So a large percentage of developed countries that outperform America in countless areas that aren't communist countries, there's still plenty of capitalism in those countries, have universal daycare. So, I mean, that's a good example of like, okay, you have public schools and private schools. What's wrong with having like public daycares and private daycares? You can add both.
New York chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America.
Maybe all we needed was a socialist mayor to save everything. Or maybe not.
These past months have shown us anything. It is that socialists not only understand economics just as well as the capitalists who came before, but that we can solve their years of mismanagement through an embrace of our principles.
Be honest, how great is socialism?
Amazing, right? I love socialism.
Okay, good. Who's your favorite philosopher?
Okay, she's got pink hair. We can't listen to her.
Is that Kennedy?
Marx or Hegel? Hegel's transcendent. Hegel's.
Okay, so here, this is like your selective journalism. I love those videos where it's, hey, I'm gonna walk around with the microphone and quiz random people to try to make certain demographics look stupid. And it's just, this isn't hard to do. And you could easily do the same thing with, to make people on the right look bad. You go around, you ask them, like, leading or baiting questions, and you ask them, like, hey, do you think that all people of this race should die? And you might be able to find one or two people that would agree. And then you present it as like, yep, this is just everyone that falls within that demographic think this. And people that fall for this kind of selective journalism are fucking stupid. And you see this, like, they'll go to protests. And they find, like, the one stoner hippie who doesn't even know why they're there. And they ask them, like, hey, yeah, like, so when it comes to the Occupy Wall Street protests, like, what are your views here? And they're like, yeah, man, like freedom. And it's like, see, this is everyone who's here. They all have this level of investment and understanding. It's not hard to do that. And the fact that people fall for this sort of selective journalism just shows how impaired their critical thinking is.
Hegel set the groundwork for everything.
I have thought often of the Margaret Thatcher quote. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. If anything, my friends, it seems that you eventually need a...
Yeah, I like the chat. Obamacare ruined everything. Trump ruined America. Yeah, all these presidents are ruining America. Fuck them all.
Socialists to clean up the mess.
Why can't it just be a qualified person? It's like you're selling me on something.
You should not be taking a victory lap when you have no job growth, in fact, job loss in the private sector.
Attorney Richard Farley is the author of the recent history book, Drop Dead, which explains why New York City's government went bankrupt in the 1970s. That was a dark period in New York history that happened to coincide with the last time the Knicks won a championship. The mayor was John Lindsay, whose policies helped turn New York to ruins.
Copyrighted material detected.
Boo.
Next video.
Tenants are celebrating the Rent Guidelines Board vote to freeze rent for 2 years. Some landlords are threatening to go to court to stop it from happening.
Kimberly just went upstairs and got on the chat. Gene likes protesters. Yeah.
Last night's decision applies to about 1 million rent-stabilized units in the city.
However, landlords...
Now, that's one of my favorite hobbies, is finding protests that are going on and just showing up with my phone to show everyone that I'm actually at the protest. And then I can act like I care about an issue and hold up a sign.
say it puts them in a terrible position because without raising the rent, they will be unable to pay for repairs.
Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett in Lower Manhattan with our lead story tonight. NJ.
And right, Joe, it was a good week to be Zohran Mamdani. Not so good if you're a land.
So here's a good example of, like, you know, the downside of capitalism. One of the reasons rent is so fucking high in New York and a lot of cities in the country is because you have people who fall into the sort of wealthy elite where they'll lobby the government and they'll push for different city ordinance where they can only build the buildings on a street or a block can only be built to a certain level or with a certain number of stories. Now, that's problematic when you have like a major metropolitan area because, you know, the less stories you have in a building, the less actual, you know, apartments, offices, actual spaces that a person can reside in. So there's supply and demand. And when you keep putting these caps in place that prevent more supply when it comes to living spaces for the people, well, when it's not meeting the demand, then that results in inflation. So, you know what? There is the government interfering with capitalism to, like, stop people from, corporations from building larger structures. So it's kind of odd where, like, that's one of the big things that is causing that sort of crisis when it comes to unaffordable, like, renting costs in New York. So, are they still going to support that?
Landlord, you know, what you think of the board's decision depends on whom you ask. Landlords are outraged but not surprised. Tenants are euphoric.
The motion passes.
After the vote, jubilation in East Harlem, after the Rent Guidelines Board voted a 2-year rent freeze for the first time in the city's history.
This is no longer just a city that is a playground for the rich. This is a city for the working people who make it run. For years, landlords have run the city, and this is like a new era of tenant power.
The decision affects more than 2 million people who live in New York's rent-regulated apartments. Their landlords will be forbidden from raising rents for 2 years on any lease written on or after October 1st. The vote was 7-1 in favor of the freeze. Today, Mayor Mamdani cut a cake with renters in Harlem.
So, here's the other thing. Those renters, where they're not able to raise the rent, are any of them suffering? So if you look at their net worth or you look at their actual, like, wealth, I don't know, how well off do you think these people are?
I mean, pretty well off to fucking just own property, you know?
In New York?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they own an entire, like, apartment complex and they're renting it out to hundreds of people, even thousands of people in New York City, I don't know. I don't think freezing the rent, I mean, maybe I don't know, like, all the, like, logistics when it comes to the finances, but I would think that this is just a scenario where the rich are just being barred from being richer. And that's like, I don't know, that's a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta touch $1 trillion. They gotta be up there with Elon.
Yeah.
If they had to use the profits to, like, you know, actually do what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
We finally got our first trillionaire.
I can't believe it, dude, honestly.
Yeah. And it's Elon Musk.
Yeah, brought a literal tear to my eye, and not for, like, the reason you may think.
like, I don't know, out of all the major, like, tech CEOs, out of all the major billionaires, he seems like the, like, biggest dumb fuck of them all. So I'm shocked that he was the one that, like, was the first person to reach trillionaire status.
You know, if it doesn't get like copywritten, I did send like a More Perfect Union video on like how he fucking got to $1 trillion, and he basically did a whole bunch of fuck shit where he like combined like a bunch of like people's investments into one and like basically like increased his own wealth.
Well, yeah, and that's something a lot of people like who like to defend like that, like your sort of uber like wealthy billionaires. They like to make the argument that like, hey, it's like you're not rewarding creativity when you criticize them or tax them. They're pioneers. It's just most of the wealth is just them playing the stock market. So it's not like the 19th century where you had this inventor, this tech pioneer, and they invented the light bulb or the steam engine, and then from that they made millions of dollars. This is a scenario where someone like Bill Gates, okay, how he came into his initial like millions was like, I think he designed a traffic light system. I think it was for San Francisco. So, I mean, Bill Gates, I think he deserves a lot of props. There were a lot of things that were like sort of inventions or whatever that were from him. But then how he became like the richest man for a while was he took the millions that he had, played the stock market, and turned it into billions. So the thing that made him like a multi-billionaire, I wouldn't really say was the impressive thing. So I think the thing that made him a multi-millionaire, that's where it's like, okay, I think he's a clever and inventive dude. But the way modern economics works, it's not as simple as, hey, they produce something and from that they get money. And I think a lot of people still think it works the way it did in like the 19th century.
The Independent Rent Guidelines Board just froze the rent. That means if you're one of the more than 2 million New Yorkers who lives in a rent-stabilized apartment, your rent's going to be frozen.
Oh, no, Byron. That wasn't a Nazi salute. That was a Turkish salute.
Yes.
Next year.
He's just saying his heart goes out to people.
Hours before the vote, board member Christina Smith resigned, accusing Mayor Mamdani of stacking the deck by appointing 6 members of the 9-member board.
Stacking the what?
He was stacking the deck by appointing certain candidates that support his principles and policies. So we've never seen a politician do that before. Oh my God.
Kind of thought that was the whole privilege of winning.
Dare that politician appoint like a court official who is registered under the same political party as them. God, unfounded.
Data on the rising costs facing landlords.
This 2-year rent freeze is a real death blow to many buildings that are already on soft financial footing. So we're seeing it now, but we're going to see it accelerate in the next 2 years.
Landlords insist the freeze will backfire. That without
What's that? Are you a parent shaming?
Yes. Sorry. Like, go back to that. It's like his head, his fucking hairpiece is like a Lego. Like, it's like a full Lego piece on his fucking head. Look at that shit.
On the rising costs facing landlords.
This 2-year rent freeze is a real death blow to many buildings that are already on
Yeah.
financial footing.
Popped on, dude. He popped that on this morning.
I don't know. You have a point.
Yeah.
Even if
Sorry, not like my hair.
Back on his head.
Not like my hair is like all that, but like still, man, I'm not like greasing it up like that. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Right. So you're saying you don't dump a bucket of olive oil over your head before you leave your home in the morning?
Absolutely the fuck not.
Actually, that's what I like to do to prep myself.
Landlords insist the freeze.
Yeah, I get all greasy.
Without rent increases, many will be unable to afford to repair or to maintain their buildings.
Oh, but Gravity Munch says socialism is awesome when you're worthless. And I'm sure you're a very accomplished person, Gravity Munch.
Yeah, dude.
Today, housing advocates protested the mayor's refusal to expand housing vouchers, known as City Fed.
And I'm automatically arrogant if I say this, but I do make more money than most people in the country.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. He did it. Kimberly, did you hear him? Kimberly.
I'm sorry, but if we're going to talk about how, hey, anybody that supports socialism is a worthless piece of shit, well, I seem to be able to do this capitalism thing a little bit better than the average Joe. Just saying.
Damn.
Speaker Julie Menin won't approve the city budget without it.
In the midst of an affordability crisis, City FEPS is a lifeline for the most vulnerable, providing rental assistance for over 65,000 households, but it could be providing more.
Now, they could have had a handshake deal in the budget today.
Oh, yes, Nicholas Rosa. He said, if you guys didn't hear, PPP finally has a subreddit. JLV, do you have a Reddit account?
Not a safe for work Reddit account.
Make one. Zenemy, do you have a Reddit account?
I mean, I have one.
Okay, well, join the PPP subreddit.
I think I did.
Did not have.
Yeah. Well, if you lost the password or whatever, you gotta make a new one. Or just make like 10 accounts and join the subreddit.
Happen. But how good a week was this for Zoran Mamdani? We'll take a closer look on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock tonight. For now, we're live in Lower Manhattan, and Jay Burke at Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Well, this is about housing vouchers. In fact, it was the secondary slightly...
And if subreddit isn't your thing, one of the like 1822 people watching, join our Discord. So I do like to hang out in there, or follow me on Threads or X, where I post like sort of baiting tweets or whatever to make people mad and then argue with them to be an asshole. So if you like that kind of entertainment, I'm your man.
That's covered housing promise that Mayor Mamdani made during the campaign last year, that he would really beef up this program and expand it to more people along the lines of a law that the city council passed a number of years ago. Well, now city council members say he's not holding up that promise. They want hundreds of millions of more dollars, as you mentioned, in the budget, which is due in just a couple of days, or they say there will be no budget deal. Among those chanting on the steps of City Hall was Nathan Flowers, who about 10 years ago was evicted from her apartment because she could not afford a rent increase. She landed in a homeless shelter.
It's 5 years in a shelter. It was pure hell.
Flowers was finally able to get a permanent place to live thanks to a housing voucher as part of the city FEPS program. Last year, she became a big supporter of Mayor Zoran Mamdani, who pledged to expand housing vouchers and drop a lawsuit brought by Mayor.
So, why didn't she just get a job? Well, she was in the
pulling stuff up by her bootstraps.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm about to spit some crazy shit. Most people who are homeless are not jobless.
Oh, yeah. That's something people ignore. And when it comes to, like, SSI or, like, disability, most do work. So it's like 2/3
You would have
work
to,
as well.
You would have to get the benefit. So it's just like, you got these people who are, like, trying to get, you know, just at least that, but are, like, just getting fucked every direction.
But then there's also the poverty paradox, which a lot of people don't understand, where it's, you know, like, America's very car-centric. So a lot of people are very, like, on edge. Like, a third of Americans can't afford a $300 emergency. If something happens to their car, they're fucked. They need a car to get to work. So what happens if somebody lives in a job desert, where there aren't any jobs available in, like, the neighborhood they live in, and the only places where they can find work are not within walking distance? Well, you could say, well, they just need to get a car. Well, they can't afford it because they don't have a job. They need the job to get the car. They need the car to get the job. So that's where the social sector can come in and try to amend that. They can try to actually create some kind of tether to allow the person to, like, give them some type of subsidized transportation until they can afford the transportation themselves. Or, like some other alternative. But it seems like somebody in that situation, they're in a bottleneck. So, I mean, why would you just expect somebody to miraculously get themselves out of a situation like that? I mean, when you present that kind of scenario to people who want to, like, engage in that gross oversimplification of just get a job, they never really have any sort of answer or response to that.
Well, when
Adam's
there's a will,
stalling-
there's a way. Ian.
Yeah.
Program's implementation. What is your frustration with the mayor right now?
He's not keeping his word. He's not keeping his word. I thought this was an honest man.
What is the point of electing super progressives if they abandon the most needed in the most significant of ways in the city's budget process?
Now led by former Speaker of the City Council, Christine Quinn, and current...
Oh, and Kimberly's starting a cooking channel. So if you guys like food and cooking, subscribe to her new food channel.
Y'all like food?
Post a link in the chat, Kimberly.
Speaker Julie Menin, many city council members say they will not sign on to a budget until the mayor drops his lawsuit and pledges hundreds of millions of dollars to the housing voucher program. The mayor's office says the program's $1.8 billion price tag must be brought under control, especially with the city facing fiscal problems, and that the voucher program must first be reformed so it's not hemorrhaging money. This is the basic dollars and cents argument the mayor's making. Can the city afford this right now?
We can't afford not to do this. What we can't afford is continuing the path of a shelter system that costs $4 billion for worse outcomes. Why would we reject this?
Yeah, so a lot of the logic people use is what if this doesn't work? You crunch the numbers and it might put them in a deficit. Well, the problem is they're already in a deficit. So it's just doing the same thing to try to get different results isn't really rational. So maybe we can try to do something different for once to see if it does work. If it doesn't work, we're just in the same conundrum we're already in. So, I mean, a little bit of experimentation isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Option that costs the city as little as $54 per day when the cost of homeless shelters is as high as $270 per day.
While immigration story headlines have often been focused on arrests and the border, the Trump administration has been focused on something quieter and much larger. Since the start of President Trump's second term, there has been a coordinated strategy to fundamentally change the U.S. immigration system. The strategy has 5 parts: historic federal funding for homeland security, revoking legal status for millions already in the U.S., reshaping the immigration courts, using the immigration court calendar to encourage more deportations, and those headline-grabbing enforcement tactics. It's a policy of utilizing the whole government. There's a historic pipeline of money behind the Trump administration's policies. In order to understand this, I had to go talk to an expert. Doris Meissner worked for the Nixon, Reagan, and Clinton administrations. Today, she's one of the top minds of U.S. immigration policy.
What this administration is doing is entirely different from anything that we've seen before. But it is also the case that a great deal...
Well, it looks like Trump is trying new things to get new results. And do you think those new results are really benefiting the country?
No. And he's just he's less effective than any former president, fucking Democrat or Republican, as far as amount of deportees and whatnot. It's just I don't know how anybody can think that he's doing a fucking good job.
Has he beaten Obama's record yet?
No.
That's the thing. It's Obama, which I have a lot to criticize about him, but the irony is that when I criticize Obama, it's because he was too right-leaning for my taste. And I wouldn't necessarily say that Obama really drastically fucked our economy. I'd say that at the end of his presidency, when it comes to where we were economically, it was pretty negligible, the kind of effect that he had. But he did deport a lot of immigrants. So, I mean, I don't know. He seemed to be better at it than Trump in terms of quantity, and also doing it in a way where it hasn't really fucked with our country's economy. So, just saying, kind of odd that that Democratic president was able to follow through with those conservative policies and practices more efficiently than Trump, who's a conservative president.
Has changed on the ground in the United States in the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010s, in that immigration became a phenomenon that affects virtually all parts of the country. Immigration in the 1970s, 80s, even into the early 90s, was essentially a function of 5 places. I mean, New York, Miami, Houston, Chicago, LA. The biggest difference is that this administration has, from the very start, adopted a whole-of-government approach.
So the immigration situation in the country really has changed. And on the campaign trail, President Trump vowed to make mass deportations a top priority.
It's going to be called a Trump mass...
So, if you crunch the numbers, and you try to calculate, when it comes to illegal immigration, undocumented immigration, and what kind of effect it has on our nation's economy, do you think it ranks number 1 or within the top 5, the top 10 issues, or I guess elements, entities that has some kind of drain or negative effect on the economy? Do you think it should get priority over any other contenders or any other issues that are negatively affecting the economy. Because I kind of think that there are a lot of other things that have much more of a pronounced and detrimental effect on the economy than immigration. And this is something where whether you support legal or illegal immigration or not, even if you're going to make the argument, well, it's still breaking the law to be here illegally, well, guess what? There's priorities. It's called pragmatism. So when there are countless other issues that are negatively affecting the economy more, and you don't have the resources to address all of them at once, and you can't allocate the same level of resources and the same energy towards all of them, so you gotta pick and choose which is more substantial. Shouldn't it be the countless other sort of issues where they just statistically are having more of a negative effect on the economy than immigration? So it's almost like it's not the actual numbers that these people care about. It's not how it's affecting the economy. I think there's another element at play in regards to why the people who voted for Trump and the voter base that Trump's pandering to seem to be very anti-immigration. I don't know. Why do you think that is?
I mean, it couldn't have anything to do with just straight up hurting people, could it?
I think it has something to do with they just don't like going to the supermarket or the gas station, and they don't like that there's an employee there or a customer there who has an accent and a different skin tone than them. I think probably has something to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it has to do with them not liking that, hey, there's this restaurant, this family, mom and pop restaurant that's owned by some Pakistani family. I think it has more to do with that than what they claim to be or what they're trying to claim the actual issue is, which is, it's affecting the economy. I don't think they actually care about that part. And a lot of them, they're taking our jobs. Everyone I've talked to has made that argument, and you ask them, okay, so what's a job that you've had that you believe was taken from you because they gave it to, an immigrant, legal or illegal immigrant instead? Do you know something where they are unemployed or they lost their job because of some, evil foreigner snatching the job from them? And every time I ask that question, there's always this awkward silence. They're never able to actually give a straightforward answer. I wonder why.
See, I'll ask that question, and then fuck you for a second.
Holy shit!
See, I'll ask that question, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I know somebody who did that, and it's just okay, so even then your anecdotal experience or somebody else's experience does not dictate what happens statistically, or it's not really concrete evidence, and even then it's the story's usually bullshit anyway, so it's just you're just talking to an idiot at that point. They couldn't give you an actual example. They couldn't give you any evidence or an article or whatever. They're just it's just a right-wing talking point, and it's a stupid one.
And when it comes to the trans rights, I guess was it non-binary restrooms and everything, whether you are somebody who you are for it or against it, it's shouldn't it be one of the lowest sort of priorities? I mean, it's just out of all the other things affecting this country, so declining education, our just inflated prison population. Why aren't they talking about stuff like that? And instead, they're hyper-focusing on the fact that, I don't know, there's restrooms that are non-binary. Whether you think it should be a thing or not, shouldn't it be something where it's just, okay, if I was given a ballot, I wouldn't vote for it. But like in the end, like I don't care. Like I think people who are against it, that's probably the biggest extreme they should like have when it comes to their stance, their views, their actions towards it. The fact that they're so fucking obsessed with it, where when they're interviewing people in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, like when it came to like Trump's second like term or second campaign, they're interviewing these people that live in a part of the country where it's like the population of immigrants is astronomically low, where it's almost non-existent. So if you look at the parts of the country where immigration actually does like have some level of presence, they're not living in those parts of the country. So it's just this boogeyman where like it's like, hey, like what do you think the major issues are? Trans bathrooms and immigrants.
Yes. Just out of curiosity, have you ever been into like a gender neutral bathroom?
No.
I have. Do you want to know what it is?
What's that?
It's a toilet and a fucking urinal and a sink.
You're kidding me.
I shit you not. Like
So
I
you're
went
saying
in there, I did my business, and that was the end of it.
You're saying that there's no like hidden sort of trapdoor or whatever in the corner where you open it up and it takes you to this other realm of just like Satanist rituals?
You know what? Now that you mention it, I didn't look for that. So probably next time I go to that particular establishment, I'll be sure to look for like portals to Narnia and shit. Just or like to like, you know, I don't know. It's just a fucking bathroom, dude. It's a bathroom, and if anything, it's better because it's just like most bathrooms where it's just like a single use bathroom are usually the cleaner ones. When it's like this communal like Roman fucking like shittery, like it's always like the most like disgusting environment fucking ever, dude.
Wait, so you're saying like if we don't need to fear that if a kid goes inside one of those things, that some like entity, demonic like being like Pennywise the clown is going to like surface from the toilet and be like, "Hello, Johnny."
Yeah, and then take you down to fucking San Francisco. I don't know. It's
yeah,
goofy,
the hand just like just reaches out of the toilet, grabs the kid by the cranium, and just like sucks them in. And then Timmy disappeared. If only he didn't go into like a gender neutral bathroom. If only.
Well, no, Gene, it's worse. It takes Timmy and it gives you back Tammy.
Oh,
damn.
no.
Well, clearly
Remember when Trump was talking about how kids would just go to school and then they get the gender reassignment surgery and come home as a different gender?
Yeah, and clearly that's been happening in bulk. So it's
works.
not it's not like we're talking about like when it comes to like the trans population, it's less than 1% of the population. So since like there was a significant rise during the LGBT movement, but it kind of stagnated at like 0.05% of the country. So this fear mongering of like it's this gray goose scenario where it's like, oh my god, they're brainwashing kids and everyone's becoming trans. It's like, no. It reached its peak at less than 1% of the population, and it hasn't been growing. So I don't think we need to fear anything.
Deportation, because we have no choice.
One of the first things Trump did after being elected was pick Tom Homan as his border czar.
I don't care how long you've been here. If you're here illegally, enter this country illegally, you cheated. People want to.
It's so weird that they call it a char.
What? Who posted this? What network is this from?
NPR.
Fake news.
Mass deportation is.
Okay, like sorry, just because that term border czar is not an actual term, so anybody who like actually uses it is an actual dumb person, like, you know.
Well, like so it's not the actual official title.
No, there's no such thing as a border czar, dude. I mean, it's just a literal made up thing. There's no border. There's like I forget the actual name of it, but it's not nearly to what they literally just made this job title up. You know, I don't know too specific, but it's there's no such thing as a border czar.
Well, when it comes to the border patrol, like there is somebody who is like the chief, the head, the executive of that particular branch of like law enforcement.
Right, there is, but there's not a czar, dude. A czar is a literal king. Like, I mean, it might be a bit pedantic or whatever, but like, there's that title gives me fucking hives.
So Byron says, "Droopy dog is the border czar."
Yes.
Cruel term, and it's inhumane and it's cruel and racist. The reason we have a mass deportation is a response to mass illegal immigration, historic mass illegal immigration.
To scale up enforcement to meet that mass deportation promise, congressional Republicans approved unprecedented funding last year, enough to make ICE the highest funded federal law enforcement agency in the country.
That has never happened before. Billions of dollars. And it's interesting.
Yeah, so I did look it up. So they're just called the chief. The chief of the U.S. Border Patrol. So, yeah, I guess
because the amounts
learn something new
of money that were flowing into immigration in the 2000s were significant. Immigration enforcement had already been heavily funded.
Somebody said, "Biff, Back to the Future. God, you are stupid."
Back to the Future. Hello, anybody home? Come on, McFly.
But it's now absolutely on steroids.
This year, Congress approved another $70 billion for ICE and Border Patrol to fund them through 2029. With that much money flooding into the system, I had to go see where some of that was being spent. The Border Security Expo is taking place.
So, I don't know. Don't you think it would benefit the economy more investing this in education? Or prison reform?
Prison reform? Gene, come on. Don't say ridiculous ass shit, but come on.
Okay, so I'm going to do one of those streams, like the deep dive streams, where I make a Google Slides presentation. And I do want to go over, like, what the, when it comes to different issues that are the biggest drains on the economy. And I want to go over all the statistics, all the data surrounding it, and compare it to immigration. And just how disproportionate the sort of investment is in curbing immigration compared to all of the problems that definitely supersede it in terms of the negative impact they have.
Downtown Phoenix.
Have you considered, what if a whole bunch of immigrants like just came over to this country, maybe on like a giant boat, perhaps, or maybe like a couple of boats, and they just like came over to this country and just like started fucking taking over? Like, that'd be insane. You know, we could, like, what if they were like had better technology, so like we couldn't even really stop it, and then they made us live like in little parcels of land, and they just took over our shit. So we can't let that happen.
Well, if they win, then it's okay. If they okay, yeah. But until they win, while they're like decimating like us, then we're the victims until they win.
This is an
Then they earned it fair and square.
expo where anyone that does anything related to border security comes.
At events like this, private companies are ready to cash in and secure federal government contracts. From tactical gear to smart technology, there's a historic amount of investment in this field.
Okay, so like when it comes to border protections, I can understand smart technology. It's like, okay, surveillance drones. Why do they need tactical gear? So how often do they actually need to put boots on the ground and have like firearms at the ready because of immigrants trying to cross the borders?
You gotta watch out for those coyotes.
Yeah, like
those
out of the
Mexican cartel members. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, like, out of all the different, like, law enforcement agencies out there, I think they're not really, should have priority when it comes to being militarized.
I thank you to the vendors here for stepping up and helping us secure this nation. We can't do it without you. The men and women of Border Patrol and the men and women of ICE could not do their job without your support.
Wasn't that the fucking bad guy in Iron Man?
Yeah.
Oh.
It kind of looks like him.
Well, Jeff Bridges, wasn't he the main antagonist?
Was it Jeff Bridges?
Yeah, but he was
Yeah, actually,
bald. He shaved his head for the first movie. But, man, all of those movies had shitty villains.
Dude, every Iron Man movie, he just fights Iron Man.
Yeah. I liked the Iron Man movies, but yeah, they all had shitty villains.
But that support isn't just about gear and tech. It's about building an entire deportation infrastructure.
I think that what we're going to be seeing now is a very heavy emphasis on infrastructure, building the deportation and...
Okay, so have you guys seen Terminator Salvation?
I've seen bits of it. I couldn't finish that fucking movie.
Okay,
I'm
so...
sorry.
Which one is that?
It's the worst one in the series. It's the one that takes place in the future. So...
Oh, is that the one with Sam Worthington?
Maybe.
Or is it the one where with the Terminator heart thing, or is it the one where John Connor is actually an asshole?
It's the one that
I
takes
think so.
place, entirely in the future.
Yeah, it's where John meets Reese for the first, or Kyle for the first time.
Okay.
But in that Terminator film, so there's like this automated vessel that pretty much acted as like a mobile prison where it'd fly down, scoop up the humans, and take them to some base, Skynet base, to be experimented on. Maybe
that sounds based.
Yeah. So maybe we should invent some kind of like giant, like drone automated vessel apparatus like that, where we don't need border patrol guards. What we need is just one of those giant flying school buses that flies down, scoops up any of the immigrants, and flies them back to their own country.
You can have those little grabby hands.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good investment of taxpayer money.
Removal, transportation
Taxpayer
infrastructure
dollars.
that supports large, sizable numbers of returns, removals, deportations.
That brings us to part 2 of the Trump administration strategy, revoking legal status for people already here. Because while billions of dollars have been poured into the immigration system, the Trump administration has also been focused on the bureaucracy and rules of that system itself. Hours after being inaugurated, Trump signed an executive order slashing a program created by the Biden administration to temporarily allow 530,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to live in the U.S. The Homeland Security Department has ended temporary protected status for 10 countries, impacting another 500,000 people. And in 2025...
Yeah, so in his first campaign, he promoted, I'm going to ban all Muslims. And the 10 countries they're referring to, that was, after he got into office, he was, talking to his different cabinet officials, so how can I ban all Muslims exactly? So, yeah, they presented that sort of plan of these 10 predominantly Muslim countries in the Middle East, we're going to do a ban because of terrorism.
The State Department canceled 85,000 visas, including more than 8,000 student visas. An NPR analysis showed that millions are stuck in...
The thing with, terrorism and everything, it's just, 9/11 was pretty bad, but how often do we see really extreme sort of terrorist attacks from Islamic terrorists in the United States? I have a feeling that white kids getting a hold of their parents' gun and shooting up a few dozen people in a school happens far more often than somebody who happens to be Muslim coming to this country overseas and, exercising some kind of terrorist attack.
Well, Gene, you can't forget that one guy in Florida that killed all those people in that nightclub, and he was Muslim. And his dad was part of the terrorist organization. So, that's one.
A couple
That's
weeks
one.
later,
That means all of them.
Well, a couple weeks later, wasn't there some rich dude in Vegas that got a gun and a bump stock and killed
That's fine.
Far more people?
Dude, people are still talking about that. People are still talking about that. I mean, oh my god, dude, the biggest mass shooting in American history. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They always blame video games when kids commit mass shootings. That guy liked digital poker, so I blame digital poker on that particular mass killing. But when it comes to immigrant who are Islamic, immigrants living in the country. We're talking about millions of people. And when you look at the number of terrorist attacks associated with Islamic extremist groups, we are talking about like less than 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. It is like an astronomically small percentage when you're talking about 5 or 6 people within a sample size of millions. And like when it comes to school shootings, that's another thing where when people like to fearmonger there, I will say that it's like, you know what? Suicide is, you're much more likely to die of suicide than homicide. And when it comes to things like bullying in schools and like the sort of depression, mental health epidemic, one of the things I don't like is like when you see a kid being mistreated or whatever in a story and then people in the chat are like, yeah, they're going to shoot up a school. It's like abuse and stuff like that. It affects like millions of kids. And when there's only like I don't know, like 4 or 5 kids a year that commit any notable mass shooting, yeah, I don't think kids in that scenario are likely to commit mass shootings. They're far more likely to kill themselves or something else. So again, people don't really seem to understand how statistics and numbers work. And it's the same thing with the video game thing. It's like, hey, the overwhelming majority of millennials and Zoomers identify as gamers and play video games, and video game consoles are like common household items. So when we're talking about like over 100 million something people who play games, yeah, there's like 12, 20 something that committed shootings. Yeah, there's clearly a correlation there.
This legal limbo, and the number of people being placed in immigration detention has skyrocketed. According to Brookings, about 400,000 people have been detained by ICE since the administration took power, and 2,000 people have been in detention for over a year.
And they mentioned Virginia Tech. I'm thinking maybe they did that because what country was he from? Was it Thailand?
I thought it was a white dude.
No,
Virginia Tech was like a little like Asian dude. I actually don't know where. I thought he was like American born, wasn't he?
No, he moved here with his family like when he was really young. Like he was an elementary school age kid, so I think he was like 6 or 7. But he lived in the United States for most of his life, and he wasn't Muslim. So like people who like to associate it like mass killings or terrorism with like Islam, it's like, well, that's a good example where like that has nothing to do with it. But one of the things he did do is he wrote an essay about how he really idolized the Columbine shooters. And apparently, yeah, when it comes to the FBI, so if we're talking about gun regulations, gun safety, they have like a list of like red flags of like something that's really common with mass shooters. And one of them is being really fascinated with mass shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And
really,
the one kid who like his parents were charged because they bought him a gun, and he was writing up like maps of the school and was literally like writing like plans on like, yeah, this is how I'm going to go about committing like a shooting. It's just this is something where I am pretty moderate when it comes to gun laws, where one of the big issues is when they triggered these red flag laws, and it is very, 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 very hard to do. So it's something where it is like, there have to be like 12, 20 something like triggers on that like red flag protocol that they have. And the likelihood of anybody triggering all of those is astronomically small, but yet the vast majority of kids that commit shootings do. Seems like they have some sophisticated sort of algorithm. And what's funny is, like, a lot of these mass shooters, they've had their guns seized from them due to triggering these FBI red flag laws. Or red flag, like, sort of systems. So, it's just shit like that where there's this one dude who was like a brony, and he worked at a postal office, and he shot up the postal office. he had his guns taken away from him like 4 fucking times and given back to him. And it's just, you know what? Maybe people who make up that 0.0000001% of the country that trigger those red flag laws because they're writing in their journal about how they really want to shoot up a school, maybe they don't need to own guns ever again. Just saying.
Yeah,
okay. The first time you get the guns taken away probably should be enough, but the second time is you're done. You're done at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you just prove that you're like not competent enough to own a fucking firearm, and you're an actual threat. So it's like, I don't know, giving him taking it away just to give it back, it just seems like a useless thing. Just like you might as well just take it away completely, because look at what it results in.
But also a lot of the people that commit these shootings, not only will they trigger those red flag sort of systems, but it's not like they just own a handgun. Another dynamic is they really like to have stockpiles of weapons. And I think that, I don't know, maybe it's the stupidity tax, but maybe if you write an essay and turn it in about how you love the Columbine shooters, maybe you're several years down the line, you could own a handgun for protection, but I don't think they should have stockpiles of rifles.
No.
Seems a bit excessive. But hey, it's communism if you want those kind of regulations to be in place.
Yeah,
if you straight up tell me you idolize people that misused guns, I just feel that's an indicator. I don't know.
You know what? I think we should make an artificial island, and we can deport them there.
Like Australia?
Doubled since
Nah, it needs to be a lot smaller than Australia.
Oh, okay.
October. For a look at how this has been playing out on the ground, I needed to talk to an immigration attorney. So I reached out to Salvador.
Okay, I guess I got way off topic. Here, how long have we been streaming? 2 hours already.
Yeah.
Okay. So what topics have we not covered? It's already 3 a.m. my time. But whatever, let's get to the global news.
Iran gathered for a days-long funeral of the late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Banners displayed across Tehran urged people to rise up in support of the Islamic Republic after the Ayatollah was killed in an Israeli airstrike at the start of the war.
Right, so I know they don't have the same liberties that people do in the United States when it comes to bitching about the government. But when the United States was originally sending troops and getting involved in Iran, you saw a lot of support from the people. They're like, we're fed up with the Ayatollahs, we're ready for this regime to be toppled. And if things were executed properly, you would think that, you know what, maybe a lot of people in Iran would be grateful and everything, but it's kind of ironic where we repeated the same fucking thing in Iraq, where that was the strategy, Bush administration go in Iraq, topple the Saddam regime and everything, and then it will become a capitalistic sort of ally in that region, and then the people will be grateful that we liberated them, and what it did is it just destabilized the country. And if you interviewed the people that were excited for the United States to get involved prior, and you interviewed them 3 years later, yeah, the U.S. reputation is worse than it was before. And it seems like we repeated the same, or we replicated the same blunder here.
In February, Khamenei's flag-draped coffin sat at Tehran's Grand Masala alongside members of his family who were also killed in the strike. His body will now be transferred to Iraq. Authorities have shut down streets and airspace in Tehran as mourners...
Now, I know the first Ayatollah, the first supreme leader, it's Khamenei, and then, I don't know, their names are too similar. They definitely aren't saints. They definitely are guilty of a lot of fucked up atrocities. So, in the Iran-Iraq war, the first supreme leader, he exercised this one tactic that Putin really likes, and it's known as the meat grinder assault tactic. And millions of people died doing that. And do you know what the meat grinder tactic is?
Is that the one where the front guys have guns and the guys behind them might not have guns, but as the guys in front die, you just take their guns and keep going forward, or is that a different one?
So it's you take poorly trained recruits, usually younger recruits. You throw them in the front line, and they're pretty much meant to be killed off, gunned down, and then that exposes the positions of the combatants that gun them down, and then your more highly trained and well-equipped troops can take them out. And in a lot of cases, it actually is a pretty efficient military strategy. So depending on what particular trench war we're talking about, it has been effective, but it's also really unethical and profoundly fucked up. And
is this who's the leader? Is that Brannigan?
Yeah, isn't that the Futurama dude?
Yeah, the one that did he figured out that the robots had a preset kill counter, so he just had wave after wave of his own.
But then, so it was Saddam versus the Supreme Leader, and Saddam decided, you know what, chemical weapons against the Kurdish people. So yeah, both of them did really fucked up stuff in that war. And it's one of the deadliest military conflicts throughout the 20th century.
Yeah, but we killed Saddam, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And that over 10-year conflict we were involved in was really worth it. It really improved the planet, improved the United States' reputation with the globe. Really helped the global economy, and it really helped with our own economy. All the money wasted on that giant boondoggle.
And a whole generation of people just with totally good mental health after all that too. Just, oh yeah. Mess no one up.
Wait, so you're saying you hate the troops?
Ah, crap. Damn it.
As Iran's Ayatollah and former Supreme Leader, killed by the U.S. and Israel, lies in state in one of the biggest public funerals in history. Today, for the first time, the Iranian public was allowed to visit and mourn.
I'm now inside the biggest mosque in Tehran. There were tens of thousands of people here. You can hear them shouting. They are saying revenge.
So this does kind of remind me of when Kim Jong-il died. And they had the massive state funeral, and then you had all the citizens crying and as if and it was their deity passed away. So I wonder how much of this is fabricated by the government, and how many of these people showing their great distress, how many of them are doing it just because if they don't look incredibly distressed, they might I don't know, be unalived or thrown in a prison or something.
I actually didn't think about that, but that's a good point to bring up. I don't know.
How's Venezuela doing? I know they recently had an earthquake, but the operation there was, I guess, much more expedient compared to the war we've been having with Iran for the last several months. But I don't know, if you look at the current governance in Venezuela, you look at the quality of living of the average citizen, how much has it improved?
It hasn't. It's
pretty sure literally we figured out that oil was garbage, and we're like, you know what, fuck that place.
Yeah, just lost interest. But no, the current head of Venezuela, as far as I know, is just the vice president. So it's literally the same government. So I don't think it's changed much, if at all. So
so we didn't even have a regime change.
No, it was not. I almost forgot they were calling it a regime, the war in Venezuela, a regime change war. That's yeah, I don't know. They're goofy.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch to call it a war because it was more one battle.
I don't know. Was that did they have to go to Congress to do a like operation like that, or is that like I don't know if he even got approval to do that.
Yeah, they're supposed to. So the issue is whenever there's any sort of overseas military operation, it is supposed to get approved through Congress. But when it comes to the bureaucracy of pushing things through Congress, like we all know how that works with laws, usually it can be kind of arduous, but that's how bureaucracy is supposed to work. It's supposed to create those checks and balances. The problem with America acting as the world's police and spending like 9 times the amount of money on its military than the next, or more money on its military than the next like 9 countries combined, is that, yeah, we got all of these vessels overseas, and if there's some pirates causing issues, like in the Red Sea or whatever, it's like, oh, we got to send in our, like, aircraft carrier military, like, at-sea cities, so it's, we can't wait for an operation like that to go through Congress. So, last, I would say the last few decades, pretty much all the presidents have been technically breaking the law en masse because most military operations don't really get approved or aren't even pushed through Congress. And it is something where, I don't know, like, is it ever going to be really brought into question? Like, okay, should this be allowed to happen where on paper it's illegal, but all the branches of the government tend to just look the other way and not give a fuck because the Republicans and the Democrats do like to pander to like the US military industrial complex. I went on a little rant there. Yeah, Byron says he thinks they're more loyal to the government after the bombing campaign. Yeah, and America... Yeah, did we accidentally bomb a fucking school and killed...
That was a child school, and it was not only bombed, it was bombed twice. It was double tapped with Tomahawk missiles, and those are like direct missiles. And they claim that it was based off of bad intelligence.
Hamas did it.
No. It was not Hamas. They said that it was the Iranians who bombed themselves. To frame. You don't know about this? To frame the.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like it was very clearly American missiles, and it's like any dipstick can just like do a Google Map search and see that it's a school. It's been a school for a very long time. I think since about like 2016 that's been a school. So
okay,
like,
Google Maps, that's like a left-leaning libtard source.
Oh, left-leaning. Even after they changed it to Gulf of America? That's not fair to say. But still, it's just...
Are you going to trust Google, a very capitalistic, multi-billion-dollar corporation, you communist fucking libtard?
Oh, you got a point there. I didn't think about that.
I love it when you argue with people like that. It's like, okay, are you for capitalism or whatever and the billionaires, or aren't you? So when are they run by the deep state and when aren't they? It's just...
I like the comment. The military is an EBT fraud.
Yeah. Oh, and it was like over 100 kids died in that bombing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was I forget what like Trump's like what he said about it, but it's pretty like egregious shit. I mean, like he doesn't care about the kids. His heart does not mourn for those kids at all. He is just, you know.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. There was intelligence that showed that there were probably 2 or 3 militants under the Iranian like regime that were in that school. And if they put boots on the ground and tried to send like Marines or whatever into that building to clear it out in a more pragmatic manner, then those 3 regime members would have a C4 vest for each kid. And not just the kids, but all the employees in that school. They would put a C4 vest on all like 200, 300 people in that building, and they would blow up the building. So that's why it's okay that America blew up the building. Do you know who I'm referencing there?
I know exactly who you're referencing there.
Yeah. For those in the chat, I think Byron watched their streams. Our buddy Ark.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
No. Our buddy Ark made the argument that if the IDF put boots on the ground to try to clear out the buildings in a more humane manner where far less civilians are killed in the process, send in 20 personnel to go in and take out the 3 Hamas militants. If they did that, then the 3 militants would put a C4 vest on every single person working in the hospital to blow up the hospital. So that's why it makes no difference if they just blow up the buildings.
I would like a source. I would like a source for this.
Trust me, bro.
I'm sorry. Anybody that takes that guy seriously is a drooling fucking retard.
I mean, anybody, to be fair, anybody who would side with a, ethno-state such as Israel, would, is a retard. So I'd say that.
But dude, imagine that. Every single government building, every library, every school, every hospital, every state facility, they have hundreds of C4 vests at the ready.
Just ready to go.
Yeah.
That was, that I forgot about that incredible find when they were going through the rubble of all those hospitals and stuff in Gaza, and they found all those C4 vests.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's if Israel came across just one instance of that, it would just be making headlines. Netanyahu, he would not be able to hold back. It would be a gold mine. See, this is what would happen. It's again, Ark, well-read fella. He's really understands what's going on the world stage.
I think he's from the Bible Belt of America. So I'll just say that it's a little bit justifiable that he's an illiterate fuck. So I don't know. Not his fault. He's stupid.
A new generation that is even more hardline than the previous.
35-year-old Amin Nabikani says the anger is not directed at the American people, but the government.
Do you think Iran won the war? That's the feeling. That's the feeling on the street from the people that they won the war. They won a decisive victory.
Not everyone in Iran supports the government. This country is deeply divided, but the opposition that took to the streets and faced a.
What country isn't deeply divided?
That is a good question.
North Korea.
Oh, yeah.
So, did you know, in North Korea, that every single election, 100% of their population shows up to vote? And 100% of them vote for Kim Jong-un. 100% of the time. Unity to the apex. And did you know,
leader.
People are pushing in America where, you should be legally obligated to vote. And I'm not against that, but North Korea, you are legally required to vote. And there's only one person to vote for, and only one person allowed to run.
They got a great system.
Yeah, that's another thing where it's just so Kim Jong-un. It's just, I understand dictators like Erdogan, Putin having their sort of mock elections, or they engage in ballot stuffing, and it's just they won for the fourth time with 50-something% of the vote. But I mean, it's just, why? You're going to make it so fucking barren. Why even have some kind of mock election?
ago is now nowhere to be seen. The U.S.-Israeli war seems to have
No, Kimberly says, all right, Gene. What?
Damn.
the government's grip on power.
Let's talk about something more interesting.
More
interesting. If you're gonna talk shit, come downstairs and talk shit.
We thank you for watching.
Oh, no.
Top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
I'm now inside the biggest mosque in Tehran. There are tens of thousands of people here. You can hear
Oh, you already saw this.
Yeah.
But it's sideways now. Or, you know.
Yeah. It's a vertical.
Oh,
Pope Leo's message for the 250th anniversary of the United States of America: welcome, protect, and defend immigrants. In a message sent from here, the Italian island of Lampedusa, which has become a gateway for migrants trying to cross the dangerous Mediterranean waters in order to enter Europe, the first U.S.-born Pope told the United States...
Okay, even though he's from America, even though he is the head of the Catholic Church, he's not a real Christian, and he's not a real American.
It has to welcome and defend immigrants.
Away his hat.
Part of the Catholic value of defending life. Pope Leo has just called on the world to be more human in its treatment of migrants escaping war and poverty in a forceful address.
If he actually cares about America, then why did he move to another country?
Here in Lampedusa, the Italian island that has become a gateway for migrants crossing the Mediterranean in dangerous crossings from Africa trying to enter Europe. The Pope is here to give a message of welcome for migrants on the same day the U.S.'s native country celebrates its 250th anniversary. The Pope is celebrating...
Wow, fuck you, Kimberly. Jesus.
July 4th in a different way this year, calling for the integration and welcome of migrants here in Lampedusa.
Welcome to the News Hour. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today vowed a forceful response after an overnight barrage of Russian missiles.
Just for that, Kimberly, I'm going to stay up all night, and then I'm going to turn the AC off. Because, yeah, I'm indifferent towards the AC being off, but she always, like, bitches whenever, like, it gets too hot. So I'm going to make her, like, and because the bed's upstairs and heat rises, yeah. I'm going to make her sleep in a triple, like, digit weather.
And drones killed at least 25 people in Kyiv and wounded many more. Ukraine has also intensified its own campaign.
Like a bow, maybe?
Launching waves of drones deep inside Russia and
oh, look. Teddy's still trying to simp for Kimberly.
striking military sites and oil refineries. Those attacks have contributed to fuel shortages in parts of Russia. Yet despite the escalating strikes on both sides, the front lines have changed little, nearly 4.5 years into this war. Stephanie Tsai reports.
In Kyiv today, the aftermath of another night of Russian aggression. Workers dig through the charred husks of what were once homes, carrying out bodies. Elsewhere, rescue workers rush to recover the living, pinned down in pain by the rubble. The latest devastation, a lot even for the battle-worn emergency workers. Neighbors gathered with forlorn faces. The flurry of Russian attacks that occurred...
Okay, well, these are white people who are dealing with these sort of, like, tragedies, so I'm invested now.
Overnight among the heaviest and deadliest on the capital since the war began, lighting up the early morning sky and carving craters outside apartment blocks.
We ran inside and then heard the explosion. We were able to take cover, but everything is destroyed. I don't even know what to say. People are still trapped under the rubble.
Ukrainian President Zelensky today visited the sites, urging an end to the war and calling out U.S. negotiators.
They have to come to see, to understand, and to explain to the president, and then to answer in a very...
I think he's been president for a bit too long at this point. I don't know. He seemed... I don't know. He seemed pretty cool when the war first happened. Like, I liked his overall composure, his demeanor. I like how, I don't know, he survived 5 or 6 assassination attempts, but I don't know, dude, come on, the war's been going on too long. Maybe just... It's like victory's being measured in inches. Just take the loss. Let them have that little chunk of land that, or I guess it is a decent amount of land, but I don't know.
How about fuck no?
Well, I mean, Russia's already ruined their reputation on the world stage. Like, they already weren't the most popular country out there, but definitely their rapport with the rest of the globe has declined significantly. And I think Ukraine, if they, like, just withdraw from the war, take the L, but then join the European Union, join NATO, build up their economy again, and you know what? I think Russia is definitely, as a country, isn't very well off financially. And Putin, he's old. He's going to die soon. And I definitely think that they're in a very precarious situation. So I don't know if they do annex those 4 like eastern provinces or states. Like, I don't know if they'll actually remain as like part of Russia for long. So it wouldn't shock me if like 10 years down the line, when like there's some huge like upheaval in Russia and Moscow, if those places just kind of like cede from Russia.
Light manner how Steve Witkoff can to Russia what they have to do quickly: sit, negotiate, stop this war.
The Kremlin spokesperson today was unmoved.
Russia will continue to intensify.
Yeah, well, they said no, Russia will keep pushing. So this isn't something I have a really strong stance on. Like, I understand why people would still support them, like, standing their ground. So it's a very sort of, like, fickle kind of scenario. But it is, like, when's the war gonna end? Russia has a lot more people that they can exploit to kind of, like, keep their economy afloat. And Russia's got a lot more troops that they don't care about, that they can, like, just throw into, like, the meat grinder. So Ukraine, I mean, when you looked at the POW exchange of the Russian and Ukrainian, like, POWs, the Ukrainian POWs, they were like these emaciated, like, skeletons. And you look at the Russian POWs, and it's very clear which nation is just more ethical and, like, is more principled based on how they were treating, like, the prisoners of the other side. And I think Ukraine has shown that it definitely is a far more, like, just presentable nation as a whole. So Russia, again, has ruined their fucking reputation on the world stage. And I think that in order for them to keep the war going, it's just there's a huge troop shortage crisis. Do they have the resources to do so? And they're trying to go about it ethically, and they might not be able to continue going about it ethically. And Russia has the means to just keep it going through, like, the unethical and moral, like, sort of strategies that I previously mentioned. So it's just, are they able to, like, it's a war of attrition. And as much as you might not like to admit it, that's actually something Russia's good at.
Pressure on the Kiev regime.
Yeah, but on the other side, Russia came and took land from Ukraine. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you know, Russia rocked up and took Alaska, I'd want Alaska back.
Yeah, but
also, I'm not out there I'm not fighting. So, I mean, it really.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I do think that when a war has been going on this long, I think the people should have much more of a say. And I think it makes sense, okay, having a draft the first couple of years, but the fact that really no side has really gained any land, like, victories being measured in inches. It's this, like, World War I style, like, trench warfare. And I was talking about the Iran-Iraq war earlier. Like, a lot of times that's how modern warfare works. If it's not some decisive sort of victory, some sort of, like, blitzkrieg, then usually it just goes on indefinitely. Because both sides bunker down. And, like, you saw it in, like, the Syrian civil war, which lasted for, like, over 10 years. So, I mean, I definitely think that Russia's not going to step down anytime soon. And I could easily see it going on for over a decade. So, do they want to spend another 5, 6, 7 years invested in this? And I think that it should be put on a ballot. And if the people in Ukraine vote to withdraw from the war, then they should withdraw. So I think it's definitely something that should be given a popular vote, not by their legislative branch, not by their government, but I think their people should vote on whether they want to continue the war. Is that fair?
Yeah, but that's not how that works at all.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If only.
The goals it has set.
The attacks in Kyiv come a few days after Ukraine launched its own strikes on Russia. Russian citizens now subjected to the terror of drone warfare in their own territories. A Ukrainian drone Tuesday struck an apartment building outside Moscow, injuring 4
Oh,
and
see, there
killing
you go.
a 6-month-old
Ukraine's
baby.
pushing in.
Yeah.
The awful consequence of a Ukrainian attempt to turn tables in the 4-year-long war that's killed tens of thousands of Ukrainians.
Oh, jeez. So I don't know if
its long-range drone.
So, of course, there's always like civilian casualties in war, and Ukraine, they have exercised a lot of attacks on Russian soil, where they were able to successfully take out some pretty I guess like golden targets, but then at the same time, there would be like 0 civilian casualties in the process. They destroyed that giant sort of oil depot processing factory, or is it natural gas facility. It was one of the largest post World War II explosions, and I believe there was 1 civilian casualty. So I'm going to give Ukraine credit there. It seems like they're able to make really large explosions in major metropolitan areas, and they're able to not I don't know, blow up schools with hundreds of kids in them in the process accidentally.
Yeah.
Why hasn't Ukraine blown up a hospital yet accidentally? And I'm not even saying that as a joke. It's just so the United States has a much more advanced military when it comes to things like intelligence and everything, like satellite technology. We have far more resources and far less of an excuse not to hit the intended targets. Ukraine, they definitely have far less resources. They're in a much more fucked up situation or whatever, so they're in much more of a bottleneck. So it makes much more sense that if they try to exercise a drone strike, why they might accidentally hit the wrong target. So why haven't they accidentally blown up a hospital yet? It's kind of funny how it's been going on for 5 or 6 years and there isn't one fucking instance of that happening. Whenever they've tried to attack some kind of state infrastructure, destroying a pipeline or anything, it's kind of odd that it's they have limited time, they need to get in and get out, a lot of shit can go wrong. They're able to execute these military operations without destroying, blowing up a building, killing hundreds of civilians. I don't know. America, Israel, why aren't you able to do the same? I don't know. Isn't it Israel? Aren't they one of the top 10 militaries on the fucking planet? Don't they also? They're in the top 10 in terms of. What's that?
I was gonna say they pride themselves on their defense, so and their intelligence. So it's just
yeah, they have one of the most advanced militaries on the planet. They're in terms of how much they spend their on their military in terms of their GDP, it's up there. So they're definitely one of the top 10 countries in that regard. Plus, there's all the funding they get from the United States and other NATO allies. So again, why are these 2 countries with much greater levels of surveillance technology, military tech as a whole, much more funding? Why can't they hit a target without blowing up a school or a hospital?
Or know that the person that you're aiming at is an actual threat and not just some kid in their their own bedroom, that's a whole thing.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
that kid could be the next Hitler or something.
Based off of what intelligence?
Well,
I don't know.
Trust me, bro.
Hey, they might grow up to become an enemy of, like, whatever the state is, Israel or the US, so it's okay to engage in Minority Report levels of, I don't know, justice. Let's just assume they'll do something bad in the future, so it's okay to kill them in the present.
Installations and oil refineries across the nation. Ukraine.
Oh, you know what? I think maybe I'll try to, like, write a book or screenplay where they killed a kid in Hamas, but if they didn't, that would have been the person who grew up and created, like, successfully pioneered the cure for cancer. All cancers.
Oh.
All cancer?
Yeah.
All cancer.
Has struck 24 Russian oil refineries over the past month.
And AIDS and every disease.
And Russians are feeling the consequences.
And that's something, like, these idiots don't, like, when they do the appeal to possibility, it's like, well, it's possible that they might grow up and do something really fucked up. And it's like, well, it's also possible that they might grow up and do something really profound that killing them while they're young, maybe that costs the lives of millions and billions of people down the line. It's the butterfly effect. Goes both ways.
For gas, stretch for
And they'll make that argument with abortion. Like, if you abort this person, they might grow up to become, like, the next Einstein, but they might grow up to become the next Hitler.
Yeah. You know what?
55.
Keep kids off the streets. Abort them.
We just have to create a new global sort of law where no one is allowed to ever have kids again, because there's the possibility that the next Hitler could be born. So there you go. Say goodbye to humanity. We're the last generation.
Of Russia's 80
children and men. Yeah. Maybe, like, they never explained how their sort of, like, infertility crisis happened, but somebody made it so people weren't able to have kids anymore, so maybe they were onto something.
3 federal districts reporting severe fuel shortages. The gas crunch is fueling calls for an end to the war.
I don't know what I can do, of course. I'm not a politician. But I think the end of the war, peace.
This is the only way to stop this deficit from
War and
developing?
Peace. I like that book and movie.
Of course, to come to some kind of agreement somehow. I don't know. This has been going on for a while, after all.
On Sunday, Russian President Vladimir Putin acknowledged the fuel shortage for the first time.
You are well aware that problems persist for both drivers and businesses. Lines at gas stations, unfortunately, also remain.
But Russia's mounting losses haven't just been economic. Analysts estimate there have been well over 1 million Russian military casualties, including hundreds of thousands of dead. And with military recruitment down 20% from this time last year, Russia, for the first time, is losing more soldiers than it can recruit, according to a February report by Bloomberg. So deadly are sections of the front line that pro-Russian military bloggers have been circulating a shocking estimate. The average life expectancy of a soldier on the front line during an assault is 20 to 35 minutes, one post reads. It is not possible to verify that with public data. At the front, over the past 3 months, Russia has lost 100 square miles of territory to Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov said Monday that Russia's demands remain the same.
Our position is well.
Okay. It's 4 o'clock. I'm getting tired. Gone close to 3 hours. And we've accumulated 2,270 views. So I was really worried after not streaming for a few months that the algorithms would punish us, but no, it seems like the floodgates aren't cut off, so gonna get back into streaming, I promise. I'm sorry for the hiatus people have been watching, but wait, what's with that expressions enemy?
You just turned into AI!
Yeah, your camera just, like, fidgeted a little bit.
Oh, it's having, like, a chroma key seizure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to start streaming more, doing more gaming streams. I've been working on a bunch of, like, video essays I'm going to upload. I've been all OCD. It's one of the reasons why I've been neglecting streaming. But I found a new crew to stream with, and it's been our first stream, and I actually kind of like the new setup that I have here. So I should be back for more streams later this week, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? But subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe and find out.
Yeah, like the stream, join the Discord, follow me on Threads, follow me on X, follow me on Blue Sky, join the subreddit, follow my blogger account and all the other accounts, become a friend on Steam, and all the 40 other sort of accounts and platforms I forgot to mention. But Till then, see you all in the near future. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Don't be a Nazi.
Yes.